Chapter 1544 The Sacrifice. 1544 The Sacrifice. Author's note. Unedited chapter. At the center of the chamber was a large pedestal, upon which rested a crystalline structure that pulsed with a soft, blue light. Gustav felt a strange pull towards it, as if it was calling to him. "This is the heart of the Humbad," Miss Amy said, her voice reverent. "It contains the knowledge and power of their civilization. Touch it, Gustav. It will reveal the truths you seek." Gustav hesitated for a moment before stepping forward, his hand reaching out to touch the crystal. The moment his skin made contact, a surge of energy coursed through him, and his vision blurred. Images and sounds flooded his mind, a torrent of information that was almost overwhelming. They spent the next several hours exploring the chamber, studying the ancient artifacts and deciphering the glowing carvings. Gustav felt a growing sense of connection to the Slarkovs, each discovery deepening his understanding of his heritage and his potential. At one point, Gustav found a small, intricately carved box. As he opened it, a holographic projection emerged, displaying a detailed map of the Slarkovs' ancient cities and their journey to Earth. He traced the path with his finger, feeling a deep sense of connection to the history it represented. "This is incredible," Gustav said, his voice filled with wonder. "It's like a piece of my past coming to life." Miss Amy nodded, her expression thoughtful. The Slarkovs were a powerful civilization, but their ambition led to their downfall. "We must learn from their mistakes and use this knowledge to guide our future." As they continued their exploration, Gustav found another artifact, a small, metallic device with intricate engravings. As he examined it, the device began to glow, and a holographic interface appeared. "This must be some kind of data storage," Gustav said, his fingers moving over the holographic controls. "It looks like it contains records of their technology and experiments." Miss Amy watched as Gustav navigated the interface, her eyes filled with a mix of pride and concern. "Be careful, Gustav. The knowledge contained here is powerful, but it can also be dangerous." Gustav nodded, his focus unwavering. "I understand. But we need this information if we're going to unlock my potential and face the challenges ahead." Hours turned into days as they delved deeper into the chamber's secrets. Gustav felt a growing sense of empowerment as he uncovered more about his heritage and his abilities. The journey was challenging, but each discovery brought him closer to understanding his true potential. Finally, after days of intense study and exploration, Gustav and Miss Amy emerged from the chamber, their minds filled with the knowledge they had gained. The path before them was still fraught with challenges, but they were ready to face them with renewed determination and purpose. As they stood at the edge of the magma sea, Gustav looked out over the desolate landscape of planet Humbad, feeling a deep sense of connection to his past and a burning resolve to shape his future. "Thank you, Miss Amy," Gustav said, his voice filled with gratitude, "for guiding me and helping me uncover the truth." Miss Amy smiled, her eyes filled with warmth. "You have always had the strength within you, Gustav SSS." As Gustav and Miss Amy continued their journey forward, the magma-like liquid continued to part before them, creating a pathway that snaked through the vast expanse of molten rock. The walls of magma rose on either side, forming a corridor that shimmered with intense heat and light. Despite the treacherous surroundings, Gustav felt a sense of calm and determination, his trust in Miss Amy's abilities unwavering. They walked in silence for what seemed like hours, the only sounds being the bubbling of the magma and the soft hum of their own footsteps. The path beneath their feet gradually began to change, shifting from the rough, uneven surface of the chasm to something more refined and constructed. The ground took on a smoother texture, and intricate patterns began to emerge, etched into the very rock itself. Gustav paused, glancing around in awe. "Miss Amy, do you see this? The ground, it's changing." Miss Amy nodded, her expression one of calm assurance. "Yes, Gustav. We're getting closer. The ancient architects of this place left their mark, guiding us toward our destination." As they continued, the refined ground gave way to an expansive platform that stretched out before them. It was incredibly large, its surface unscathed by the surrounding magma. The platform's structure was nearly indescribable, a blend of intricate patterns and futuristic designs that seemed both ancient and advanced. At the center of the platform stood a structure that seemed to defy the very fabric of reality. It was both in time and out of time, a paradoxical blend of past and future. Various technological constructs adorned its surface, their designs sleek and incredibly advanced. Holographic interfaces flickered with streams of data, and strange, glowing symbols adorned the walls. Gustav's eyes widened in astonishment. "What is this place? It's like nothing I've ever seen before." Miss Amy smiled, her eyes filled with a sense of reverence. "This, Gustav, is Dimension 6. It is a nexus of time and reality, a place where the boundaries of existence blur and the truths of the universe are laid bare." Gustav stepped forward, his gaze fixed on the structure. "Dimension 6. This is where you'll find the answers, isn't it?" "Yes," Miss Amy replied. "The knowledge and power contained here will help you understand your heritage and unlock your true potential. But be prepared, Gustav. This place is unlike anything you've ever encountered." They approached the structure, the air around them humming with energy. Gustav could feel the power radiating from the platform, a tangible force that seemed to resonate with his very being. The intricate patterns on the ground pulsed with light, guiding their steps toward the heart of Dimension 6. "Miss Amy," Gustav said, his voice filled with a mix of awe and apprehension, "what exactly will we find here?" "Knowledge," Miss Amy replied. "And power. The Slarkovs left behind many artifacts and records that can help you understand your heritage and unlock your potential. But it will not be easy. The journey ahead will be filled with challenges, both physical and mental." As they reached the center of the platform, a large, circular doorway opened before them, revealing a chamber filled with a soft, blue light. The air inside was cool and refreshing, a stark contrast to the intense heat of the magma outside. Gustav took a deep breath, feeling a sense of calm wash over him. "This is it," Miss Amy said, stepping through the doorway. "The heart of Dimension 6. Gustav followed her into the chamber, his eyes wide with wonder. The room was filled with an array of advanced technology, from holographic interfaces to intricate machines that seemed to pulse with life. Strange symbols adorned the walls, their meanings elusive yet tantalizing. At the center of the chamber was a large, crystalline structure that pulsed with a soft, blue light. Gustav felt a strange pull towards it, as if it was calling to him. "This is the core of Dimension 6, Miss Amy explained. It contains the knowledge and power of the Slarkovs. Touch it, Gustav. It will reveal the truths you seek." Gustav hesitated for a moment before stepping forward, his hand reaching out to touch the crystal. The moment his skin made contact, a surge of energy coursed through him, and his vision blurred. Images and sounds flooded his mind, a torrent of information that was almost overwhelming. He saw the rise of the Slarkovs, their advanced technology and their ambitious conquests. He witnessed their discovery of the warp demolator and their desperate attempts to prevent the catastrophe that would drag their world into the stagnant citrus void. He saw their decision to flee to Earth, and the measures they took to ensure their survival. And then he saw something that took his breath away, scenes of his own life, interwoven with the history of the Slarkovs. He saw himself as a child, subtly influenced by Slarkov technology. He saw his parents, who were not his biological parents, but caretakers assigned to protect and guide him. Gustav staggered back, his mind reeling from the revelations. "I am connected to the Slarkovs. But how?" Miss Amy placed a comforting hand on his shoulder. "You were part of their last-ditch effort to preserve their legacy. They sent a few of their children to Earth, disguised as human, hoping they would survive and one day reclaim their heritage." Gustav's head spun with the implications. "So, am one of them?" "Yes," Miss Amy confirmed gently. "Your true origin lies with the Slarkovs. That's why you're so important. You carry their legacy within you." Gustav took a deep breath, trying to process everything he had learned. "And this chamber, it holds the key to unlocking my potential?" "Yes," Miss Amy said. "The knowledge and power contained here will help you understand your heritage and unlock your true abilities. But it will not be easy. The journey ahead will be filled with challenges, both physical and mental." Gustav nodded, feeling a mix of awe and determination. "I'm ready. Whatever it takes, I want to understand my past and unlock my potential. Miss Amy smiled, her eyes filled with pride. I knew you would. Let's begin. They spent the next several hours exploring the chamber, studying the ancient artifacts and deciphering the glowing symbols. Gustav felt a growing sense of connection to the Slarkovs, each discovery deepening his understanding of his heritage and his potential. At one point, Gustav found a small, intricately carved box. As he opened it, a holographic projection emerged, displaying a detailed map of the Slarkovs' ancient cities and their journey to Earth. He traced the path with his finger, feeling a deep sense of connection to the history it represented. Chapter 1545 True Nature of Dimension 6. Chapter 1545 True Nature of Dimension 6 Author's Note. Unedited chapter. The realization that this powerful tool came at the ultimate price left a bitter taste in their mouths. The previously enthusiastic dignitary with shimmering scales was the first to break the silence. Grand Commander, this news is devastating. How can we ask our warriors to make such a sacrifice? Shun nodded, his face reflecting the inner turmoil he felt. I understand your concerns. This is not a decision to be taken lightly. But we are faced with an existential threat. The beings of the Dark Plane will not show mercy, and our universe is at stake. We must weigh the cost of using this tool against the potential destruction of all we hold dear. An ethereal figure from the Mystic Enclave spoke up. We must ensure that those who choose to use this tool are fully aware of the consequences and are willing to make the ultimate sacrifice. It is a heavy burden, but one that may be necessary to save countless lives. Another delegate, with metallic skin and a deep, rumbling voice, addressed the room. Indeed, we may have brave warriors, but we cannot simply send them to their deaths without exploring every possible alternative. Are there no other options, Grand Commander? Shun took a deep breath. We are continuing our research, and we are exploring every possible avenue. But as of now, this amplification tool is our best chance to confront the Dark Plane on equal footing. We must prevent the final premonition, as these efforts are crucial to our survival. The room erupted in a mix of voices. Some agreed while others disagreed. Grand Commander Shun allowed the discussions to continue for a moment before raising his hand again. Please, everyone. I understand how difficult it is to digest what I've told you. However, we must move forward with caution and unity. We need volunteers from every planet under the Alliance who understand the stakes and are willing to make this sacrifice. We must also continue to work together to find other solutions. Our universe's survival depends on our combined efforts. SSS. The delegates nodded in agreement, their faces reflecting resolve. A delegate with luminescent wings, representing the Celestial Guardians, stood. Grand Commander, our people have always been protectors of this universe. We will provide volunteers who are prepared to make this sacrifice. Their courage will not be in vain. Another delegate, a regal figure with an elaborate headdress, added, we must honor those who choose to use the amplification tool by ensuring their sacrifice is not forgotten. We will create a memorial to their bravery and dedication. Shun bowed his head in gratitude. Thank you. Your support and unity give me hope. We will proceed with caution, and we will honor the sacrifices made in this struggle. Together, we will face the Dark Plane and protect our universe. As the meeting continued, the delegates worked together to develop a plan. They discussed how to fortify the seal, protect the Celestial Guardians, and deploy the amplification tool strategically. Each step was carefully considered, with the understanding that the stakes had never been higher. In the high-tech laboratories on Earth, scientists and engineers continued their tireless work. The air was filled with the hum of advanced machinery, the quiet murmur of intense discussions, and the occasional spark of inspiration. The amplification tool was refined, its design optimized for maximum efficiency and safety, though the ultimate cost remained. Grand Commander Shun visited the laboratories frequently, his presence a constant source of strength and motivation. He spoke with the scientists and engineers, offering his insights and encouragement. He knew that the road ahead would be long and arduous, but he was determined to see it through. In the days and weeks that followed, progress was made. The gateway technology was refined, defenses were fortified, and reconnaissance teams were deployed to locate and protect the Celestial Guardians. The Universal Alliance stood united, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. As the stars shone brightly above, a reminder of the vastness of the universe and the endless possibilities that lay ahead, the Universal Alliance prepared to face the Dark Plane with unwavering resolve. The battle was far from over, but they were ready to fight, guided by the strength and wisdom they had gained from their shared resolve. Grand Commander Shen stood at the forefront, his heart filled with determination. "We will protect our universe," he vowed. "We will stand together and face the darkness. And we will prevail." "SSSSS, this is incredible," Gustav said, his voice filled with wonder. "It's like a piece of my past coming to life." Miss Amy nodded, her expression thoughtful. The Slarkovs were a powerful civilization, but their ambition led to their downfall. "We must learn from their mistakes and use this knowledge to guide our future." As they continued their exploration, Gustav found another artifact, a small, metallic device with intricate engravings. As he examined it, the device began to glow, and a holographic interface appeared. "This must be some kind of data storage," Gustav said, his fingers moving over the holographic controls. "It looks like it contains records of their technology and experiments." Miss Amy watched as Gustav navigated the interface, her eyes filled with a mix of pride and concern. "Be careful, Gustav. The knowledge contained here is powerful, but it can also be dangerous." Gustav nodded, his focus unwavering. "I understand. But we need this information if we're going to unlock my potential and face the challenges ahead." Hours turned into days as they delved deeper into the chamber's secrets. Gustav felt a growing sense of empowerment as he uncovered more about his heritage and his abilities. The journey was challenging, but each discovery brought him closer to understanding his true potential. Finally, after days of intense study and exploration, Gustav and Miss Amy emerged from the chamber, their minds filled with the knowledge they had gained. The path before them was still fraught with challenges, but they were ready to face them with renewed determination and purpose. As they stood at the edge of the magma sea, Gustav looked out over the desolate landscape of planet Humbad, feeling a deep sense of connection to his past and a burning resolve to shape his future. "Thank you, Miss Amy," Gustav said, his voice filled with gratitude, "for guiding me and helping me uncover the truth." Miss Amy smiled, her eyes filled with warmth. "You have always had the strength within you, Gustav. The journey ahead will be difficult, but you are ready. Let's return and share what we have learned." With a renewed sense of purpose, Gustav and Miss Amy began their journey back. The path through the magma parted once more, and they walked with determination, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead and use the knowledge they had gained to shape a better future. Miss Amy and Gustav reached the entry point of Dimension 6, only to find themselves unable to proceed. An invisible force seemed to push them back, preventing any further movement. The air around them thrummed with a strange energy, and the very fabric of reality seemed to shimmer and distort. Gustav frowned, his brow furrowed in concentration. "It's like we're hitting an invisible wall. What is this?" Miss Amy's eyes scanned the surroundings, her expression thoughtful. "There must be a reason for this. Look around, Gustav. The answers are often hidden in plain sight." Gustav turned his attention to the walls around them, noticing for the first time the intricate artistic depictions that adorned the stone. The carvings were beautiful and elaborate, telling a story through a series of images and symbols. He moved closer, examining them with keen interest. "These carvings, they tell a tale," Gustav said, his voice filled with wonder. "It's about the creation and access to Dimension 6. Miss Amy nodded, joining him in examining the depictions. Yes, the Slarkovs were known for recording their history and knowledge through art. Let's see what we can learn. As they studied the carvings, the story began to unfold. The first series of images showed a group of beings, presumably the Slarkovs, standing before a great portal. The portal led to Dimension 6, a place depicted as a realm of infinite possibilities, where wishes could be granted and resources were abundant. This place, Dimension 6, Gustav mused, it was like a paradise. A realm where anything was possible. Miss Amy pointed to the next set of images. But look here. The dimension demanded something in return. The images showed a series of warnings, depicted through symbolic representations. The message was clear: the dimension would grant anything you needed, but greed would be met with severe punishment. The final images were grim, showing individuals who had ignored the warnings being met with gruesome fates. So, the dimension punishes greed, Gustav said slowly. It only grants what you need, not what you want. Those who were greedy faced dire consequences. Miss Amy's expression was serious. This is a crucial lesson, Gustav. The power of Dimension 6 is immense, but it must be respected. We must be mindful of our intentions and desires. Gustav nodded, his mind racing with the implications. We need to figure out how to pass this barrier. There must be something we're missing. They continued to examine the carvings, looking for any clues that might help them. Gustav's eyes fell on a small, almost hidden depiction near the bottom of one of the walls. It showed a figure standing before the portal, holding out an object that seemed to glow with a soft light. Miss Amy, look at this, Gustav said, pointing to the carving. This figure is holding something. It looks like it's the key to accessing the dimension. Miss Amy studied the image closely. It appears to be a token or an offering. Something given in humility and need, rather than in greed. Gustav thought for a moment, then reached into his bag and pulled out a small, worn trinket that had been given to him by his mother. It was a simple object, but it held great sentimental value. I think this might be it, Gustav said, holding the trinket up. It's something meaningful, something given in need rather than want. Miss Amy nodded. It's worth a try. Offer it to the portal and see if it accepts. Gustav stepped forward, holding the trinket out before him. He felt a strange, tingling sensation as he approached the barrier, and the air seemed to shimmer and hum with energy. Taking a deep breath, he placed the trinket on the ground before the portal and stepped back. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, slowly, the trinket began to glow with a soft, blue light. The invisible force holding them back seemed to waver, and the shimmering barrier began to dissolve. It's working, Gustav said, his voice filled with awe. The barrier is lifting. Miss Amy smiled, her eyes filled with pride. You did it, Gustav. The dimension recognizes your humility and need. As the barrier dissolved completely, the path to Dimension 6 lay open before them. The air was cool and refreshing, and the soft blue light from the crystalline structures within the chamber seemed to welcome them. Let's go, Miss Amy said, stepping forward. The answers we seek are just ahead. Gustav followed her, feeling a mix of excitement and apprehension. As they stepped through the portal, they entered a realm that seemed to exist outside of time and space. The chamber was vast and filled with advanced technology, glowing symbols, and strange artifacts that pulsed with energy. This place is incredible, Gustav said, his voice filled with wonder. It's like stepping into another world. Miss Amy nodded, her expression serious. Remember the lesson from the carvings, Gustav. We must respect the power of this place and approach it with humility. They moved further into the chamber, exploring the various constructs and devices. Each one seemed to hold a piece of the puzzle, a fragment of the knowledge and power that the Slarkovs had left behind. At the center of the chamber, they found another crystalline structure, similar to the one they had encountered earlier. It pulsed with a soft, blue light, and Gustav felt the same strange pull towards it. This must be the heart of Dimension 6, Miss Amy said. The source of its power and knowledge. Gustav stepped forward, his hand reaching out to touch the crystal. As his fingers made contact, a surge of energy coursed through him, and his vision blurred. Images and sounds flooded his mind, a torrent of information that was both overwhelming and enlightening. He saw the creation of Dimension 6, a place where the boundaries of reality were fluid and the impossible became possible. He witnessed the beings who had first discovered its power, their joy and wonder as they explored its limitless potential. And he saw the warnings, the consequences of greed and the grim fates of those who had tried to take more than they needed. Gustav staggered back, his mind reeling from the revelations. This place, it's a realm of infinite possibilities. But it must be respected. The power here is immense, but it can be dangerous. Miss Amy placed a comforting hand on his shoulder. You understand now, Gustav. Dimension 6 offers great potential, but it demands humility and respect. We must use its power wisely. Gustav nodded, feeling a renewed sense of purpose. We need to take this knowledge back and use it to guide our future. We must ensure that the mistakes of the past are not repeated. They spent the next several hours exploring the chamber, studying the ancient artifacts and deciphering the glowing symbols. Gustav felt a growing sense of connection to the Slarkovs, each discovery deepening his understanding of his heritage and his potential. At one point, Gustav found a small, intricately carved box. As he opened it, a holographic projection emerged, displaying a detailed map of the Slarkovs' ancient cities and their journey to Earth. He traced the path with his finger, feeling a deep sense of connection to the history it represented. This is incredible, Gustav said, his voice filled with wonder. It's like a piece of my past coming to life. Miss Amy smiled, her eyes filled with warmth. You have always had the strength within you, Gustav. The journey ahead will be difficult, but you are ready. Let's return and share what we have learned. Chapter 1546 Origin of the Lock. Chapter 1546 Origin of the Lock. Author's note. Unedited chapter. As they stood hindered before the entrance to Dimension 6, the air thrummed with the energy of the invisible barrier. Miss Amy turned to Gustav with a solemn expression. This is where my journey ends, she said softly. Gustav's brow furrowed in confusion. What do you mean? We've come this far together. We need to get inside. Miss Amy smiled, a hint of sadness in her eyes. The universal truth is hidden within Dimension 6, Gustav. It is something you must discover on your own. My role has been to guide you here. Gustav shook his head, refusing to accept her words. No, we can do this together. We'll find a way in. He turned back to the carvings on the walls, determined to decipher the secrets they held. As he carefully examined the intricate symbols, he noticed a diagram that depicted a scene of a great door being sealed. The figures in the carving looked desperate, their faces etched with despair. This diagram, it shows the door being sealed, Gustav said, his voice tinged with frustration. It looks like Dimension 6 has been locked for millennia because it was misused. But there has to be a way to open it again. Miss Amy stepped closer, her eyes scanning the diagram. Dimension 6 was a place of infinite possibilities, but greed led to its closure. The warnings were clear: only take what you need, not what you want. Those who ignored the warnings faced dire consequences. Gustav clenched his fists, his mind racing. But we haven't come all this way for nothing. There must be something we're missing. He continued to study the carvings, looking for any clue that might reveal how to gain access. The more he examined the images, the more he realized the complexity of the challenge before them. The finality of the ceiling seemed absolute, and yet, he refused to give up. Miss Amy watched him with a mixture of pride and concern. Gustav, sometimes the journey is as important as the destination. What you have learned about your heritage and your potential is invaluable. Gustav looked up at her, determination in his eyes. I understand that, but there has to be more. I need to know the universal truth you mentioned. I need to understand everything. He moved to another section of the wall, where a different set of symbols caught his attention. These carvings depicted a group of figures standing before the sealed door, their hands raised in a gesture of offering. Above them, a single, glowing symbol hovered, a symbol of humility and need. Gustav looked up at her, determination in his eyes. I understand that, but there has to be more. I need to know the universal truth you mentioned. I need to understand everything. He moved to another section of the wall, where a different set of symbols caught his attention. These carvings depicted a group of figures standing before the sealed door, their hands raised in a gesture of offering. Above them, a single, glowing symbol hovered, a symbol of humility and need. Miss Amy, look at this, Gustav said, pointing to the carving. It shows people making an offering before the door. Maybe that's the key. Maybe we need to offer something meaningful, something that represents our need, not our want. Miss Amy nodded thoughtfully. It's possible. The Slarkovs often used symbolic gestures to unlock their most guarded secrets. But what could we offer that would meet those criteria? Gustav thought for a moment, then reached into his bag and pulled out the small, worn trinket his mother had given him. It was a simple object, but it held great sentimental value and represented a deep need for understanding and connection. This, Gustav said, holding up the trinket. It's something that means a lot to me. It represents my need to understand my past and my heritage. Miss Amy smiled, her eyes filled with pride. It's a worthy offering, Gustav. Place it before the door and see if it is accepted. With a deep breath, Gustav stepped forward and placed the trinket on the ground before the sealed entrance. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, slowly, the trinket began to glow with a soft, blue light. The carvings on the wall shimmered in response, and the invisible barrier seemed to waver. It's working, Gustav said, his voice filled with hope. The barrier is reacting to the offering. But as the light grew brighter, the ground beneath them began to tremble. The symbols on the wall shifted and rearranged themselves, forming a new message. Miss Amy's eyes widened in realization. Gustav, look at the symbols. They are warning us. Gustav turned back to the carvings, reading the new message with growing dread. Dimension 6 has been locked to prevent further misuse. It cannot be opened again. The light from the trinket faded, and the barrier remained intact. Gustav's heart sank as he realized the finality of the message. So, we can't get in. After everything we've done, we can't access Dimension 6. Miss Amy placed a comforting hand on his shoulder. Gustav, this journey was not for nothing. You have gained invaluable knowledge about your heritage and your potential. Sometimes, the answers we seek are not found in the places we expect. Gustav shook his head, frustration and disappointment welling up inside him. But what about the universal truth? How am I supposed to find it if I can't get inside? Miss Amy's eyes were filled with compassion. The universal truth is not confined to a single place, Gustav. It is found within you. Your journey, your experiences, and your growth have all been part of discovering that truth. Gustav took a deep breath, trying to steady his emotions. So, what do we do now? We continue forward, Miss Amy said gently. We take the knowledge we have gained and use it to shape our future. You are stronger and wiser than when you first began this journey. Trust in yourself and the path that lies ahead. Gustav nodded slowly, absorbing her words. You're right. I've learned so much, and I won't let this setback stop me. Miss Amy smiled, her eyes filled with pride. That's the spirit, Gustav. The journey is not over. There are still many discoveries to be made and challenges to overcome. As they turned to leave, Gustav cast one last glance at the sealed door. I won't forget what we've learned here. And I'll keep searching for the universal truth, no matter where it leads me. Miss Amy nodded, her expression resolute. And I will continue to guide you, as long as you need me. With renewed determination, they began their ascent back up the chasm. The path was just as treacherous as before, but Gustav moved with a newfound sense of purpose. The knowledge he had gained and the lessons he had learned would guide him in the challenges ahead. As they reached the upper levels of the chasm, the air grew cooler, and the light from the magma receded. The journey had been long and arduous, but Gustav felt a deep sense of connection to his past and a burning resolve to shape his future. Finally, they reached the top of the chasm, the desolate landscape of planet Humbad stretching out before them. Exhausted but triumphant, Gustav turned to Miss Amy. Thank you, Miss Amy, he said, his voice filled with gratitude. For guiding me and helping me uncover the truth. Miss Amy smiled, her eyes filled with warmth. You have always had the strength within you, Gustav. The journey ahead will be difficult, but you are ready. Let's return and share what we have learned. With a renewed sense of purpose, Gustav and Miss Amy began their journey back to their base. The knowledge they had gained from the depths of the chasm would guide them in the battles ahead, and Gustav was determined to use it to create a better future for himself and those he cared about. As they walked, Gustav couldn't help but reflect on the journey they had undertaken. They had descended into the depths of the planet, uncovered the secrets of an ancient civilization, and learned valuable lessons about humility, respect, and the dangers of greed. The path before them was still fraught with challenges, but Gustav felt ready to face them with renewed determination and purpose. The journey had been long and arduous, but the knowledge they had gained was invaluable. As they approached their base, the stars shone brightly above, a reminder of the vastness of the universe and the endless possibilities that lay ahead. Gustav felt a deep sense of connection to his past and a burning resolve to shape his future. "Miss Amy," Gustav said, his voice filled with determination, "we've come a long way, and there's still so much to do. But I'm ready. Whatever challenges lie ahead, I know we can face them together." Miss Amy smiled, her eyes filled with pride. "I have no doubt, Gustav. The journey is far from over, but you have the strength and wisdom to overcome any obstacle. Let's continue forward, and may the knowledge we have gained guide us to a brighter future." With that, they stepped forward into the night, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead and use the knowledge they had gained to shape a better future for themselves and those they cared about. SSS Gustav felt his stomach drop. "No, there has to be another way. We can't do this if it means losing you." Miss Amy shook her head. "The power contained within Dimension 6 is vital. The knowledge and resources it holds can change the fate of countless worlds. But to unlock it, a tremendous sacrifice is needed." The ground continued to tremble, the light intensifying. Gustav could feel the energy growing, the air thick with it. He took a step toward her, desperation in his voice. "We can find another way." "We can't." "No, Gustav," Miss Amy interrupted gently. "This is the only way. I have seen the future, and this is the path that must be taken. You are meant to enter Dimension 6, and I am meant to open it for you." Gustav's eyes filled with tears. "But why you? Why does it have to be you?" Miss Amy's expression softened, her eyes filled with love and pride. "Because I am the only one who can. And because you, Gustav, are destined for greatness. You carry within you the legacy of the Slarkovs, and the future depends on you unlocking that potential." Gustav shook his head, unable to accept it. "I can't lose you. Not like this." Miss Amy stepped closer, placing her uninjured hand on his cheek. "You won't lose me. I will always be with you, in spirit. My sacrifice will open the way for you to fulfill your destiny. Trust in yourself, and in the journey ahead." The ground beneath them began to crack, the light growing blindingly bright. Gustav felt a surge of panic. "Miss Amy, please." "Goodbye, Gustav," she whispered, her voice barely audible over the roar of the energy around them. "Remember everything I've taught you. Be brave, be strong, and never forget your purpose." With a final, loving look, Miss Amy channeled all her energy into the ground. The light exploded outward, enveloping her in a blinding flash. Gustav was thrown back by the force of the blast, hitting the ground hard. He shielded his eyes against the intense brightness, feeling the heat and power wash over him. When the light finally faded, Gustav opened his eyes to see the entrance to Dimension 6 standing open before him. The barrier was gone, but so was Miss Amy. The place where she had stood was now a scorched mark on the ground, the remnants of her sacrifice etched into the stone. Gustav staggered to his feet, his heart heavy with grief. "Miss Amy," he whispered, tears streaming down his face. "Why did it have to be this way?" But he knew the answer. She had given everything to open the way for him, to ensure that he could fulfill his destiny. The knowledge and power of Dimension 6 were now within his reach, and he had to honor her sacrifice by using them wisely. Taking a deep breath, Gustav stepped forward, crossing the threshold into Dimension 6. The air inside was cool and filled with a soft, blue light. Advanced technology and strange artifacts surrounded him, their designs sleek and otherworldly. He felt a strange sense of calm settle over him, the grief still raw but tempered by a renewed sense of purpose. "I'll make you proud, Miss Amy," he whispered. "I'll use the power and knowledge here to protect and guide the future." As he moved deeper into Dimension 6, the chamber revealed its secrets. Holographic displays flickered to life, showing detailed records of the Slarkov's history and technology. Strange machines hummed with energy, their purposes mysterious but intriguing. Gustav approached a large, crystalline structure at the center of the chamber, similar to the one they had encountered before. He reached out, his hand trembling slightly, and touched the crystal. A surge of energy coursed through him, filling his mind with a torrent of images and sounds. He saw the rise and fall of the Slarkovs, their triumphs and tragedies. He saw the creation of Dimension 6, a place of infinite possibilities and resources. He saw the warnings against greed and the gruesome fates of those who had ignored them. Chapter 1547 Neighboring Planets. Chapter 1547 Neighboring Planets. Author's note. Unedited chapter. As Dimension 6 began to open up, the entire surroundings trembled with the sheer power being unleashed. The air crackled with energy, and the ancient mechanisms groaned as they responded to the force being exerted upon them. The barrier that had held them back disintegrated into a shower of sparks, revealing the gateway to the enigmatic dimension. Gustav's eyes widened in shock as he saw Miss Amy's figure begin to turn translucent, her edges blurring as if she were fading out of existence. Panic surged through him, and he instinctively took a step forward. "Miss Amy, stop. What are you doing?" Miss Amy turned to him, her eyes filled with a mixture of determination and sadness. "Go," she yelled, her voice echoing with a strange resonance. "You have to go now, Gustav." But Gustav couldn't just leave her. He took another step toward her, his heart pounding in his chest. "No, I won't leave you. There has to be another way." Before he could reach her, a powerful gust of wind swept through the chamber, lifting him off his feet. He tried to fight against it, reaching out toward Miss Amy, but the force was too strong. The wind carried him through the open gateway of Dimension 6, and the last thing he saw before the entrance closed was Miss Amy's sad, yet proud smile. "Miss Amy!" Gustav screamed, his voice lost in the roar of the wind. The gateway sealed shut behind him with a final, deafening clang, leaving Gustav alone in the heart of Dimension 6. The air was cool and filled with a soft, blue light, but Gustav's thoughts were consumed by the image of Miss Amy fading away. Outside Dimension 6, Miss Amy's figure continued to turn transparent, her form shimmering like a mirage. She looked down at her hands, which were now nearly invisible. A tear slipped down her cheek, but her smile remained. "Goodbye, kid," she whispered, her voice barely audible. "I loved you. Always remember that." With those final words, Miss Amy's figure dissolved into the ether, leaving no trace of her presence. Inside Dimension 6, Gustav stumbled to his feet, his heart heavy with grief and loss. The chamber around him was vast and filled with advanced technology, but all he could think about was Miss Amy's sacrifice. He sank to his knees, tears streaming down his face. "No," he whispered, his voice choked with emotion. "Miss Amy, why did it have to be this way?" He remembered her final words, the love and pride in her eyes. She had given everything to ensure he could access Dimension 6, to unlock the knowledge and power that could change the fate of countless worlds. Her sacrifice had been the ultimate act of love and faith in him. Gustav clenched his fists, his resolve hardening. "I will honor your sacrifice, Miss Amy. I won't let it be in vain." He stood up, wiping the tears from his face. The chamber was filled with strange artifacts and holographic displays, each one pulsing with energy. Gustav took a deep breath, focusing on the task at hand. He had to make sense of the knowledge contained within Dimension 6 and use it to fulfill his destiny. As he explored the chamber, he felt a strange sense of calm settle over him. The grief and loss were still there, but they were tempered by a renewed sense of purpose. Gustav knew that he had to be strong, not just for himself, but for Miss Amy and everything she had believed in. The crystalline structure at the center of the chamber drew him in, its soft blue light calling to him. Gustav reached out and touched the crystal, feeling a surge of energy course through him. Images and sounds flooded his mind, a torrent of information that was almost overwhelming. He saw the rise and fall of the Slarkovs, their triumphs and tragedies. He saw the creation of Dimension 6, a place of infinite possibilities and resources. He saw the warnings against greed and the gruesome fates of those who had ignored them. But most importantly, he saw the future, his future. He saw himself using the knowledge and power of Dimension 6 to protect and guide those he cared about. He saw himself fulfilling the legacy of the Slarkovs and ensuring a brighter future for all. The vision faded, and Gustav took a deep breath, his resolve strengthened. I will honor your sacrifice, Miss Amy. I will use what I've learned here to make a difference. He began to explore the chamber in earnest, studying the ancient artifacts and deciphering the glowing symbols. Each discovery deepened his understanding of his heritage and his potential. The journey was challenging, but Gustav felt a growing sense of empowerment. At one point, Gustav found a small, intricately carved box. As he opened it, a holographic projection emerged, displaying a detailed map of the Slarkovs' ancient cities and their journey to Earth. He traced the path with his finger, feeling a deep sense of connection to the history it represented. This is incredible, Gustav said, his voice filled with wonder. It's like a piece of my past coming to life. As he continued his exploration, he found another artifact, a small, metallic device with intricate engravings. As he examined it, the device began to glow, and a holographic interface appeared. This must be some kind of data storage, Gustav said, his fingers moving over the holographic controls. It looks like it contains records of their technology and experiments. He navigated the interface, absorbing the information with a mix of awe and determination. The knowledge contained within Dimension 6 was vast and powerful, and Gustav knew that he had to use it wisely. Hours turned into days as Gustav delved deeper into the chamber's secrets. He felt a growing sense of connection to the Slarkovs, each discovery deepening his understanding of his heritage and his potential. Finally, after days of intense study and exploration, Gustav emerged from the chamber, his mind filled with the knowledge he had gained. The path before him was still fraught with challenges, but he was ready to face them with renewed determination and purpose. As he stood at the edge of the chamber, the cool blue light surrounding him, Gustav felt a deep sense of connection to his past and a burning resolve to shape his future. Miss Amy, he said softly, his voice filled with determination, I will honor your sacrifice. I will use the knowledge and power I have gained to protect and guide the future. With a renewed sense of purpose, Gustav stepped forward into the unknown, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. The journey had been long and arduous, but the knowledge he had gained was invaluable. The stars shone brightly above, a reminder of the vastness of the universe and the endless possibilities that lay ahead. Gustav took a deep breath, feeling a sense of calm settle over him. I won't let you down, Miss Amy. I promise. With that, he stepped forward into the heart of Dimension 6, ready to use the knowledge and power he had gained to shape a better future for himself and those he cared about. The journey was far from over, but Gustav was ready to face whatever lay ahead, guided by the strength and wisdom he had gained from Miss Amy and his own inner resolve. Some time had passed on Earth since Gustav's departure to planet Humbad. Months had gone by, and the world continued to turn, though shadows of impending doom seemed to grow longer with each passing day. The Universal Alliance, a coalition of the most powerful and advanced civilizations in the known universe, had come together for an emergency summit. The meeting was held in the Grand Hall of Unity, a massive structure situated on the neutral ground of planet Aglion. The Grand Hall of Unity was a marvel of architecture, with towering columns and a dome that shimmered with 1,000 lights, symbolizing the unity of countless worlds. Delegates from every corner of the universe gathered within its walls, their expressions grave and their voices hushed. The air was thick with tension and anticipation. At the center of the hall, standing before a massive holographic display, was Grand Commander Shun. His silver hair and the diamond shard embedded in his forehead caught the light, giving him an almost ethereal presence. He waited for the room to quiet down before speaking, his authoritative voice echoing through the hall. Distinguished delegates, thank you for coming on such short notice, Shun began. We are gathered here today to discuss a matter of utmost importance, one that concerns the very survival of our universe. The delegates exchanged uneasy glances, the weight of his words sinking in. Shun continued, his expression stern and focused. Over the past 2 years, our scientists have been studying the Death Angel that was captured and brought to Earth. The information we have obtained from this entity has been both enlightening and alarming. It has revealed the true nature of the Dark Plane and its role in the destruction of planet Osius. A holographic projection flickered to life behind Shun, displaying the dark plane as a swirling mass of shadowy tendrils, its presence menacing and foreboding. The dark plane, Shun explained, is a malevolent force that exists beyond our understanding of time and space. It feeds on chaos and destruction, and it is responsible for the annihilation of planet Osius. But that is not all. Our research has uncovered a prophecy, a series of premonitions that will mark the beginning of the end for our universe. So far, 4 of these premonitions have already occurred. The delegates leaned forward in their seats, their faces etched with concern. One of them, a tall being with emerald skin and glowing eyes, stood up. Grand Commander Shun, can you elaborate on these premonitions? What do they entail? Shun nodded and gestured to the holographic display, which shifted to show a series of ominous events. The first premonition was the sudden disappearance of the celestial guardians, protectors of our universe who vanished without a trace. The second was the outbreak of a deadly plague that swept across multiple planets, decimating populations. The third was the rise of the Dark Plane's influence, manifesting in increased attacks and anomalies across our galaxy. The fourth, most recently, was the destruction of planet Osius by the Dark Plane itself. Chapter 1548 The Coming of the Fourth. Play Volume 00:0000:00 Pub Future Fantasy TV 03 Truvid Full Screen Ads by Pub Future Chapter 1548 The Coming of the Fourth Author's Note. Unedited chapter. The room fell silent as tension rose heavily. Another delegate, a short figure with silver hair and a holographic visor over their eyes, spoke up. And the fifth premonition? What is it, and how can we prevent it? Cheyenne's expression darkened. The fifth premonition is the most catastrophic of all. It foretells a cosmic event that will tear apart the very fabric of our universe, plunging it into eternal darkness. We do not yet know when or where it will occur, but we must be prepared to face it. A murmur of alarm spread through the hall, the delegates voicing their fears and concerns. Shun raised his hand to calm them. We are not without hope. Our research has also provided us with insights into combating the Dark Plane. We have developed new technologies and strategies to counter its influence. But we must act swiftly and decisively. One of the delegates, a regal figure with an elaborate headdress and a deep, resonant voice, stood up. Grand Commander Shun, what are our next steps? How can we unite our forces to face this impending threat? Cheyenne's gaze swept over the room, his resolve unwavering. We must form a unified front, combining our resources and knowledge. We need to fortify our defenses and launch a coordinated effort to push back against the Dark Plane. Additionally, we must locate and protect any remaining celestial guardians, as they hold the key to our salvation. Another delegate, a lithe being with luminescent wings, interjected. What about the premonitions? Can we find a way to prevent the fifth from coming to pass? Shun took a deep breath. That is our ultimate goal. We must decipher the prophecy further and find any means to avert the final disaster. This will require unprecedented cooperation and sacrifice from all of us. The delegates nodded in agreement, the gravity of the situation forging a sense of solidarity among them. They knew that the fate of the universe rested on their shoulders, and they were ready to face the challenges ahead. As the meeting continued, strategies were discussed, alliances were strengthened, and plans were set into motion. The Universal Alliance was determined to stand together against the Dark Plane, their resolve unwavering. In the midst of these discussions, Shun received a private communication from scientist Merkil. The message was urgent, and Shun excused himself from the main hall to take it. Merkil, what is it? Shun asked, his voice tense. Merkil's holographic image appeared before him, his eyes filled with a mix of excitement and urgency. Grand Commander, we have made a significant breakthrough. We have developed a new weapon, one that harnesses the energy of the Dark Plane itself. It has the potential to turn the tide in our favor. Cheyenne's eyes widened. That's incredible news, Merkil. How soon can it be ready for deployment? Merkil hesitated. There are still tests to be conducted, and we need to ensure its stability. But if all goes well, we could have a functional prototype within a few weeks. Shun nodded, his mind racing with possibilities. Keep me updated on your progress. This could be the key to defeating the Dark Plane once and for all. Returning to the main hall, Shun shared the news with the delegates. The room buzzed with renewed hope and determination. They knew that the road ahead would be long and arduous, but they were ready to face whatever challenges lay in their path. As the meeting drew to a close, the delegates stood united, their resolve strengthened by the knowledge that they were not alone in this fight. The Universal Alliance would stand together against the darkness, their combined strength a beacon of hope in the face of impending doom. Shun addressed the room one last time, his voice filled with conviction. We will face this threat together. We will protect our universe and ensure that the light of hope continues to shine. Let us move forward with courage and determination. The future of our worlds depends on it. With that, the delegates dispersed, returning to their respective planets with a renewed sense of purpose. The battle against the Dark Plane was far from over, but they were ready to fight, their hearts united in the quest to protect their universe from the looming threat. In the days that followed, preparations were made, defenses were fortified, and alliances were strengthened. The Universal Alliance stood ready to face the Dark Plane, their resolve unwavering and their spirits unyielding. The fate of the universe hung in the balance, but they were determined to prevail. And as the stars shone brightly above, a reminder of the vastness of the universe and the endless possibilities that lay ahead, the Universal Alliance prepared to face whatever challenges lay ahead, guided by the strength and wisdom they had gained from their shared resolve. In the Grand Hall of the Universal Alliance, the air was thick with tension and anticipation as delegates from across the universe gathered to discuss the impending threat of the Dark Plane. Grand Commander Shun stood at the center, his silver hair catching the light, and the diamond shard embedded in his forehead gleaming with authority. The holographic display behind him flickered with images of the Dark Plane and the events that had unfolded. Shun cleared his throat, drawing the attention of the assembled delegates. Ladies and gentlemen, we have much to discuss today. In addition to the revelations we have uncovered about the Dark Plane and the premonitions marking the beginning of the end for our universe, there is more information that needs to be shared. The room fell silent, all eyes on Shun as he continued. Based on information provided by Gustav before his departure to planet Humbad, we have come to understand that these premonitions are actually sacrifices. They are part of a ritual to break a seal that was put in place to prevent beings from the Dark Plane from invading our universe. A murmur of shock and confusion rippled through the hall. Delegates exchanged anxious glances, and the air buzzed with questions and theories. A delegate from the Ilarian Consortium, a tall figure with emerald skin and glowing eyes, stood up. Grand Commander Shun, are you saying that these catastrophic events are not random, but deliberate acts to weaken the seal? Shun nodded gravely. Yes. Each premonition serves as a sacrifice, a necessary step to break the seal and allow the Dark Plane's inhabitants to enter our universe. The Celestial Guardian's disappearance, the plague, the rise of the Dark Plane's influence, and the destruction of planet Osius, all of these events were orchestrated to serve this purpose. Another delegate, a short figure with silver hair and a holographic visor, raised a hand. If this is true, what can we do to stop it? How can we prevent the final premonition from occurring? Shun took a deep breath, his expression resolute. We must focus our efforts on understanding the nature of the seal and finding a way to reinforce it. Additionally, we need to locate and protect any remaining Celestial Guardians, as they may hold the key to preventing the final premonition. The delegates began discussing various theories and potential strategies, their voices rising in a cacophony of concern and urgency. Shun raised his hand to calm them. Please, let me continue. There is more. The room quieted down, and Shun continued. Using the Death Angel as a research material, our scientists have discovered how to open a gateway to the Dark Plane. This information is both a potential threat and an opportunity. It gives us a way to directly confront the Dark Plane, but it also means the Dark Plane can open gateways into our universe. A delegate with luminescent wings, representing the Celestial Guardians, stood up. Grand Commander, how did we come by this knowledge, and what are the risks involved in using it? Shun gestured to the holographic display, which now showed detailed schematics of the gateway technology. The Death Angel, once a powerful entity of the Dark Plane, provided us with invaluable insights. By studying its physiology and the energies it harnessed, we developed a method to create a controlled gateway. However, this technology is highly volatile and dangerous. Misuse could lead to catastrophic consequences. The luminescent winged delegate nodded, their face grave. And if we use this technology to confront the Dark Plane directly, what are our chances of success? Cheyenne's expression hardened. That depends on our preparation and coordination. We will need to fortify our defenses and develop strategies to counter the Dark Plane's influence. It will be a perilous mission, but we cannot afford to stand idly by. A regal figure with an elaborate headdress and a deep, resonant voice addressed Shun. Grand Commander, what is your plan? How do you propose we proceed given the gravity of these revelations? Shun looked around the room, his gaze steady. First, we must solidify our alliances and combine our resources. Every civilization here must contribute to the defense of our universe. Second, we will deploy reconnaissance teams to locate any remaining celestial guardians and protect them at all costs. Third, we will continue our research into the Dark Plane and the Seal, looking for ways to reinforce it and prevent the final premonition. The room was filled with nods of agreement and murmurs of support. Shun continued, his voice resolute. We must also prepare for the possibility of direct confrontation. Using the gateway technology, we will launch a coordinated strike against the Dark Plane. This will be a last resort, but it is a contingency we must be ready for. A delegate from the technologically advanced Hyperion Dominion, a being with a sleek, metallic exoskeleton, spoke up. Grand Commander, we have the technology and expertise to assist in developing and fortifying the gateway defenses. We will commit our resources to this effort. Chapter 1549 Unlocking Universal Truths. Chapter 1549 Unlocking Universal Truths. Author's note. Unedited chapter. Another delegate, a tall, ethereal figure from the Mystic Enclave, added, we possess ancient knowledge and arcane abilities that may help reinforce the seal. Our scholars will work alongside your scientists to find a solution. Shun nodded, gratitude and determination in his eyes. Thank you. Your support is invaluable. Together, we stand a chance of preventing the final premonition and protecting our universe. The discussions continued, with delegates proposing various strategies and sharing their resources. Shun took a moment to reflect on the enormity of the task ahead. The fate of countless worlds hung in the balance, and the responsibility weighed heavily on his shoulders. Yet, seeing the unity and resolve of the Universal Alliance gave him hope. As the meeting drew to a close, Shun addressed the room one last time. We have a long and difficult road ahead, but I am confident that together, we can overcome this threat. Let us move forward with courage, determination, and unity. The future of our universe depends on it. The delegates dispersed, returning to their respective planets with a renewed sense of purpose and resolve. Plans were set into motion, and preparations began in earnest. The Universal Alliance stood ready to face the Dark Plane, their combined strength a beacon of hope in the face of impending doom. Back on Earth, in the high-tech laboratories, scientists and engineers worked tirelessly to develop and fortify the gateway technology. Scholars and mystics from the Mystic Enclave collaborated with them, sharing their ancient knowledge and arcane abilities. The air was filled with the hum of advanced machinery and the quiet murmur of intense discussions. Grand Commander Shun oversaw the efforts, his presence a constant source of strength and motivation. He knew that the road ahead would be long and arduous, but he was determined to see it through. The fate of the universe depended on their success, and failure was not an option. In the days and weeks that followed, progress was made. The gateway technology was refined, defenses were fortified, and reconnaissance teams were deployed to locate and protect the Celestial Guardians. The Universal Alliance stood united, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. As the stars shone brightly above, a reminder of the vastness of the universe and the endless possibilities that lay ahead, the Universal Alliance prepared to face the Dark Plane with unwavering resolve. The battle was far from over, but they were ready to fight, guided by the strength and wisdom they had gained from their shared resolve. Grand Commander Shen stood at the forefront, his heart filled with determination. "We will protect our universe," he vowed. "We will stand together and face the darkness. And we will prevail." With that, the Universal Alliance moved forward, their combined strength and unity a beacon of hope in the face of the impending threat. The future of the universe hung in the balance, but they were ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead, guided by their resolve and the strength they had gained from their shared purpose. SSS, the Grand Hall of the Universal Alliance, continued to buzz with tension and urgency as the meeting pressed on. The holographic displays flickered with images of the Dark Plane and the events that had unfolded, casting an eerie glow over the assembled delegates. The air was thick with the weight of the revelations shared by Grand Commander Shen. One of the dignitaries, a stern-looking figure with scales that shimmered in the dim light, rose to address the assembly. "Grand Commander Shen, given that we now possess the technology to open a gateway to the Dark Plane, it seems clear that we must take immediate action. We should strike at the heart of this threat and destroy the forces that threaten our existence." A murmur of agreement spread through the hall, the delegates nodding in unison. Another alliance leader, a tall figure with elongated limbs and a crown of glowing crystals, added, "Yes, we must not wait for the fifth premonition to come to pass. If we can enter the Dark Plane, we should launch a preemptive strike and end this threat once and for all." Grand Commander Shen raised his hand, signaling for silence. "I understand your concerns and your desire to take immediate action. However, there are critical factors that we must consider before making such a decision." The room quieted, all eyes on Shen as he continued. "The Death Angel that we have in captivity is not the most powerful entity within the Dark Plane. In fact, it occupies a relatively mid-level position in the hierarchy of power there. Despite this, it has already posed a significant threat to us here. This is because being trapped in our universe has weakened it considerably. In its own realm, the Dark Plane, it would be far more powerful." A ripple of unease spread through the delegates. One of them, a stocky figure with metallic skin and a deep, rumbling voice, asked, "What are you saying, Grand Commander? Are you suggesting that we would be at a disadvantage if we entered the Dark Plane?" Shen nodded gravely. "Yes, that is precisely what I am saying. The Dark Plane is a realm where the very fabric of reality is different. The entities there draw strength from their environment, becoming exponentially more powerful. Conversely, we would find ourselves weakened in that realm. The forces we would face are not only numerous but also hundreds of times more powerful than we are." The hall erupted into a cacophony of voices, delegates voicing their shock and concern. The magnitude of the threat was becoming increasingly clear, and the idea of entering the Dark Plane seemed far more daunting. The dignitary with shimmering scales stood again, his voice cutting through the noise. "Grand Commander Shen, if what you say is true, then how do we combat this threat? Waiting for the final premonition seems like a death sentence. We need a plan." Shen took a deep breath, his expression resolute. "Our best course of action is to fortify our defenses and find a way to strengthen the seal that keeps the Dark Plane at bay. We must continue our research to understand the nature of the seal and look for any means to reinforce it. Additionally, we need to protect any remaining celestial guardians, as they may hold the key to preventing the final premonition." A regal figure with an elaborate headdress and a deep, resonant voice addressed Shen. "Grand Commander, what measures can we take to ensure the seal remains intact? How can we fortify our defenses against an enemy that is far more powerful in their own realm?" Shen gestured to the holographic display, which now showed detailed schematics of defensive technologies and strategies. "We must combine our resources and knowledge to develop advanced defensive measures. Our scientists and engineers are already working on fortifying the seal using the insights gained from the Death Angel. Additionally, we need to deploy reconnaissance teams to locate any remaining celestial guardians and ensure their protection." Another delegate, a lithe being with luminescent wings, interjected. "And what about the gateway technology? If we cannot enter the Dark Plane without weakening ourselves, how do we use this technology to our advantage?" Cheyenne's gaze was steady as he replied. "The gateway technology is a double-edged sword. While it allows us to open a portal to the Dark Plane, it also poses a significant risk if used improperly. We must use it strategically, potentially as a means to divert or contain threats rather than directly confront them. Our focus should be on strengthening our defenses here and preventing the dark plane from gaining a foothold in our universe. The delegates nodded in agreement, their expressions reflecting a mix of determination and apprehension. One of them, a tall, ethereal figure from the mystic enclave, spoke up. Grand Commander, we possess ancient knowledge and arcane abilities that may help reinforce the seal. Our scholars will work alongside your scientists to find a solution. SS Shin acknowledged the offer with gratitude. Thank you. Your support is invaluable. Together, we stand a better chance of preventing the final premonition and protecting our universe. The discussions continued, with delegates proposing various strategies and sharing their resources. Shin took a moment to reflect on the enormity of the task ahead. The fate of countless worlds hung in the balance, and the responsibility weighed heavily on his shoulders. Yet, seeing the unity and resolve of the Universal Alliance gave him hope. As the meeting progressed, Shin outlined a comprehensive plan. First, we will establish a task force dedicated to fortifying the seal. This task force will be composed of scientists, engineers, mystics, and strategists from all our allied civilizations. Their primary objective will be to reinforce the seal and prevent any further weakening. He continued, second, we will deploy reconnaissance teams to locate and protect any remaining celestial guardians. Their safety is paramount, as they hold the key to our defense. Third, we will develop and deploy advanced defensive technologies, combining our resources and expertise to create a formidable barrier against any incursion from the dark plane. The delegates listened intently, their resolve strengthening with each word. Shun concluded, finally, we must remain vigilant and adaptive. The dark plane is a cunning and powerful adversary. We must be ready to respond to any threat and adjust our strategies as needed. A delegate from the technologically advanced Hyperion Dominion, a being with a sleek, metallic exoskeleton, spoke up. Grand Commander, we have the technology and expertise to assist in developing and fortifying the gateway defenses. We will commit our resources to this effort. Another delegate, a short figure with silver hair and a holographic visor, added, our intelligence networks will be mobilized to monitor any signs of dark plane activity. We will provide early warning and strategic insights to ensure we are not caught off guard. Shun nodded, his expression filled with determination. Thank you. Your contributions will be crucial to our success. Together, we stand a chance of preventing the final premonition and protecting our universe. The discussions continued, with delegates proposing various strategies and sharing their resources. Shun took a moment to reflect on the enormity of the task ahead. The fate of countless worlds hung in the balance, and the responsibility weighed heavily on his shoulders. Yet, seeing the unity and resolve of the Universal Alliance gave him hope. Grand Commander Shun oversaw the efforts, his presence a constant source of strength and motivation. He knew that the road ahead would be long and arduous, but he was determined to see it through. The fate of the universe depended on their success, and failure was not an option. Chapter 1550 The Deities Scuffle. Chapter 1550 The Deities Scuffle. Author's note. Unedited chapter. The tension in the Grand Hall of Unity was at an all-high. The delegates were still reeling from the revelations about the Dark Plane and the premonitions when Grand Commander Shun raised his hand for silence once more. Ladies and gentlemen, Shun began, his voice steady but carrying the weight of the news he was about to deliver, I have additional information to share. Some of Earth's greatest scientists have been working tirelessly to find a way to counter the threat from the Dark Plane. The room grew silent, every delegate's attention fixed on Shun. He continued, they have developed an amplification tool, a device that allows our warriors to enter the Dark Plane without suffering the reduction in strength we previously feared. This tool absorbs power from the warriors' future selves and the ambient energy of the Dark Plane, amplifying their strength multiple folds. The delegates erupted in a chorus of excited murmurs and exclamations. The room buzzed with energy as representatives from various civilizations turned to each other, discussing the potential of such a device. A dignitary with scales that shimmered in the dim light stood up, a broad smile on his face. This is incredible news, Grand Commander. Earth's ingenuity has provided us with a fighting chance. We must commend their fast thinking and problem-solving capabilities. Others joined in, their voices a mix of admiration and hope. Indeed, Earth has once again proven to be a beacon of innovation, added another delegate with elongated limbs and a crown of glowing crystals. Shun raised his hand again, and the hall fell silent. His expression was somber, contrasting sharply with the delegate's newfound optimism. While I appreciate your commendations, I must inform you of the grave side effects associated with this amplification tool. The room fell silent, the delegates' faces turning from hopeful to anxious. Cheyenne's eyes swept across the assembly before he spoke again. The amplification tool, while effective, has a significant cost. Any soldier who uses it will die afterward. The process of drawing energy from their future selves and the dark plane is too much for any being to withstand. A heavy silence settled over the hall. The delegates looked at each other, the weight of Cheyenne's words sinking in. The realization that this powerful tool came at the ultimate price left a bitter taste in their mouths. The previously enthusiastic dignitary with shimmering scales was the first to break the silence. Grand Commander, this news is devastating. How can we ask our warriors to make such a sacrifice? Shun nodded, his face reflecting the inner turmoil he felt. I understand your concerns. This is not a decision to be taken lightly. But we are faced with an existential threat. The beings of the dark plane will not show mercy, and our universe is at stake. We must weigh the cost of using this tool against the potential destruction of all we hold dear. A tall, ethereal figure from the mystic enclave, their voice calm but filled with sorrow, spoke up. We must ensure that those who choose to use this tool are fully aware of the consequences and are willing to make the ultimate sacrifice. It is a heavy burden, but one that may be necessary to save countless lives. Another delegate, with metallic skin and a deep, rumbling voice, addressed the room. Our warriors are brave, but we cannot simply send them to their deaths without exploring every possible alternative. Are there no other options, Grand Commander? Shun took a deep breath. We are continuing our research, and we are exploring every possible avenue. But as of now, this amplification tool is our best chance to confront the dark plane on equal footing. We must also focus on strengthening the seal and preventing the final premonition, as these efforts are crucial to our survival. The room erupted in a mix of despair and determination. Delegates voiced their fears and hopes, the atmosphere charged with the gravity of the situation. Shun allowed the discussions to continue for a moment before raising his hand again. Please, everyone. I understand the gravity of what I've told you. We must move forward with caution and unity. We need volunteers who understand the stakes and are willing to make this sacrifice. We must also continue to work together to find other solutions. Our universe's survival depends on our combined efforts. The delegates nodded in agreement, their faces reflecting a mix of resolve and sorrow. A delegate with luminescent wings, representing the Celestial Guardians, stood. Grand Commander, our people have always been protectors of this universe. We will provide volunteers who are prepared to make this sacrifice. Their courage will not be in vain. Another delegate, a regal figure with an elaborate headdress, added, we must honor those who choose to use the amplification tool by ensuring their sacrifice is not forgotten. We will create a memorial to their bravery and dedication. Shun bowed his head in gratitude. Thank you. Your support and unity give me hope. We will proceed with caution, and we will honor the sacrifices made in this struggle. Together, we will face the dark plane and protect our universe. As the meeting continued, the delegates worked together to develop a plan. They discussed how to fortify the seal, protect the Celestial Guardians, and deploy the amplification tool strategically. Each step was carefully considered, with the understanding that the stakes had never been higher. In the high-tech laboratories on Earth, scientists and engineers continued their tireless work. The air was filled with the hum of advanced machinery, the quiet murmur of intense discussions, and the occasional spark of inspiration. The amplification tool was refined, its design optimized for maximum efficiency and safety, though the ultimate cost remained. Grand Commander Shen visited the laboratories frequently, his presence a constant source of strength and motivation. He spoke with the scientists and engineers, offering his insights and encouragement. He knew that the road ahead would be long and arduous, but he was determined to see it through. In the days and weeks that followed, progress was made. The gateway technology was refined, defenses were fortified, and reconnaissance teams were deployed to locate and protect the Celestial Guardians. The Universal Alliance stood united, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. As the stars shone brightly above, a reminder of the vastness of the universe and the endless possibilities that lay ahead, the Universal Alliance prepared to face the dark plane with unwavering resolve. The battle was far from over, but they were ready to fight, guided by the strength and wisdom they had gained from their shared resolve. Grand Commander Shen stood at the forefront, his heart filled with determination. "We will protect our universe," he vowed. "We will stand together and face the darkness. And we will prevail." With that, the Universal Alliance moved forward, their combined strength and unity a beacon of hope in the face of the impending threat. The future of the universe hung in the balance, but they were ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead, guided by their resolve and the strength they had gained from their shared purpose. Gustav had been in Dimension 6 for what felt like an eternity. The passage of time seemed distorted in this place, the air heavy with an otherworldly energy. The realm itself was an empty city, maintaining its mechanical and incredibly futuristic constructs despite the desolation that had befallen Humbad. It was a stark contrast to the ruins outside, a testament to the advanced civilization that had once thrived here. He found himself in awe of the towering spires, the sleek lines of the buildings, and the humming of machines that seemed to operate on their own, defying the decay of time. Yet, there was a haunting emptiness, a sense of loss that permeated every corner. The silence was deafening, broken only by the occasional whir and click of the constructs. Gustav had spent most of his time in a particular construct, an enormous chamber filled with holographic displays and intricate machinery. This construct had shown him the truth about planet Humbad's origin. It was a place where history played out before his eyes, the entire planet reconstructed in vivid detail. He stood in the center of the chamber, surrounded by holographic images that flickered and shifted, creating a panoramic view of Humbad in its prime. The advanced technology brought the past to life, allowing him to walk through the city as it had once been, filled with vibrant energy and life. How did it come to this? Gustav whispered to himself, his voice echoing in the empty chamber. He felt a deep sense of connection to the place, as if he were witnessing a part of his own heritage. The holographic playback showed bustling streets filled with the inhabitants of Humbad, their movements fluid and graceful. Tall, slender beings with an ethereal glow moved through the city, their clothes shimmering in the artificial light. The air was filled with the hum of advanced vehicles and the soft murmur of conversations. These people, Gustav thought, they were so advanced, so full of life. What happened to them? As he walked through the holographic city, he felt a pang of sadness. He hadn't even had the time to properly think about what had happened to Miss Amy or grieve her loss. The mission had consumed him, driving him forward with relentless determination. But now, in this silent, empty city, the weight of her sacrifice pressed heavily on his heart. "Miss Amy," he murmured, "you gave everything for me to be here. I won't let your sacrifice be in vain." The holographic images shifted, showing the once thriving city beginning to fall into disarray. The vibrant lights dimmed, the streets grew emptier, and the inhabitants seemed to fade away. Gustav watched as the planet's decline played out before him, the advanced technology unable to prevent the inevitable decay. He reached out to touch one of the holographic figures, a young child with wide, curious eyes. His hand passed through the image, and the child dissolved into a cascade of light. "What happened to you?" Gustav wondered aloud. The playback continued, showing scenes of chaos and destruction. The once proud buildings crumbled, and the ground split open, revealing the molten core beneath. The inhabitants of Humbad fought desperately to save their world, but their efforts were in vain. The planet was dragged into the stagnant citrus void, its fate sealed by forces beyond their control. Gustav's mind raced as he pieced together the story. The warp demolator, he thought. They knew it would happen, and they tried to stop it, but they couldn't. He felt a deep sense of empathy for the people of Humbad. They had faced an insurmountable challenge, and despite their advanced technology and determination, they had been unable to save their world. The realization filled him with a renewed sense of purpose. I must learn from their mistakes, he resolved. I must find a way to protect our universe from the same fate. The holographic playback shifted again, showing the planet's surface consumed by molten magma. The desolation was complete, and the once great city lay in ruins. Gustav watched in silence, the gravity of the situation settling over him like a heavy shroud. He closed his eyes, taking a deep breath. Miss Amy, he thought, you believed in me. You trusted me to find the answers and use them to protect our future. I won't let you down. Opening his eyes, he looked around the chamber, taking in the intricate machinery and the flickering holograms. This place holds the key, he realized. The knowledge and technology of Humbad are here, preserved in Dimension 6. I just need to unlock it. He approached a central console, its surface covered in glowing symbols and controls. Placing his hand on the interface, he felt a surge of energy as the construct responded to his touch. The holographic images shifted, revealing a map of the city and its various constructs. Show me the central archive, Gustav commanded, his voice steady. The map zoomed in on a particular section of the city, highlighting a massive structure at its heart. The archive was the repository of all the knowledge and technology of Humbad, a treasure trove of information that could provide the answers he sought. That's where I need to go, he thought, determination filling his heart. As he made his way through the holographic city, the scenes of the past continued to play out around him. He saw the inhabitants in their daily lives, their hopes and dreams, their struggles and triumphs. He felt a deep connection to them, a kinship born of shared adversity. Your legacy will not be forgotten, he vowed silently. I will honor your memory by using what I learn here to protect our universe. The journey to the central archive was long and arduous, but Gustav pressed on, driven by a sense of purpose. The constructs around him seemed to come alive as he approached the archive, the machinery humming with energy and the holograms flickering with anticipation. Finally, he stood before the massive doors of the archive, their surface covered in intricate carvings and symbols. Placing his hand on the door, he felt a surge of energy as it responded to his touch. The doors slowly opened, revealing the vast interior of the archive. Rows upon rows of glowing consoles and holographic displays filled the space, each one containing a wealth of information. Gustav's heart raced as he realized the magnitude of what lay before him. The knowledge of an entire civilization, preserved for millennia, was now at his fingertips. Taking a deep breath, he stepped into the archive, ready to begin his search. This is it, he thought. The answers are here. I just need to find them. As he began to explore the archive, he felt a sense of purpose and determination like never before. The weight of Miss Amy's sacrifice and the legacy of Humbad pressed heavily on his shoulders, but he welcomed it. He knew that he was meant to be here, that his journey had led him to this moment. I will find a way, he vowed. I will protect our universe, no matter the cost. Hours turned into days as Gustav delved into the wealth of information contained in the archive. He learned about the advanced technology of Humbad, their struggles and triumphs, and the forces that had ultimately led to their downfall. Each discovery brought him closer to understanding the nature of the Dark Plane and the means to combat it. As he worked, he felt the presence of Miss Amy guiding him, her strength and wisdom echoing in his mind. You believed in me, he thought, and I will not let you down. The journey was far from over, but Gustav knew that he was on the right path. The knowledge and technology of Humbad would provide the answers he needed to protect their universe and prevent the final premonition from coming to pass. With renewed determination, he continued his search, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. The future of the universe hung in the balance, but he was prepared to do whatever it took to ensure its survival. Chapter 1551 The Blood of Change. Chapter 1551 The Blood of Change. Author's note. Unedited chapter. The construct continued to play out the past for Gustav, revealing the intricate and mesmerizing history of planet Humbad and its inhabitants. As the holographic images shifted and reformed around him, Gustav was transported back in time, witnessing the truth about how everything began. Humans have always believed that we were the first intelligent species, Gustav thought, watching the scenes unfold. But the Slarkovs were here long before us, their civilization thriving while Earth was still in its infancy. The holographic city came to life, filled with beings that bore a striking resemblance to humans but with distinct animalistic features. Some had horns curling elegantly from their heads, others had elongated ears, and many had scaly or iridescent skin that shimmered in the artificial light. They moved with a grace and purpose that spoke of their advanced intelligence and culture. Gustav marveled at their appearance. They looked so different, yet so familiar. A blend of human and animal traits, creating a unique and diverse species. The Slarkovs were truly remarkable. The playback showed the bustling streets of Humbad, filled with the daily activities of its inhabitants. Advanced vehicles zipped through the air, and towering buildings gleamed with the reflection of the twin suns in their sky. The architecture was a harmonious blend of functionality and beauty, with sleek lines and intricate designs that seemed to pulse with energy. Earth was a neighboring planet in their solar system, Gustav thought, the holographic images shifting to show the cosmic relationship between Humbad and Earth. It was so close that the distance between them was shorter than the distance from Earth to Mercury. But Earth didn't even have humans back then. The scene changed, showing Earth as a barren, lifeless world. The planet's surface was a desolate landscape, devoid of the flora and fauna that would one day flourish there. In stark contrast, Humbad was a vibrant, thriving world, teeming with life and advanced civilizations. Humbad had already borne intelligent species for millennia, Gustav mused. The Slarkovs were the most intelligent, their technology far surpassing anything humanity has achieved even today. The playback shifted again, showing the development of the Slarkovs' technology. Gustav watched as they harnessed the power of their planet's natural resources, creating energy sources that were clean and inexhaustible. They built towering structures that reached into the sky, their designs elegant and efficient. The Slarkovs had achieved a level of technological sophistication that seemed almost magical. They were so far ahead, Gustav thought, awe and admiration filling his heart. Their understanding of science and technology was unparalleled. They must have had such a profound impact on their world. The scenes shifted to show the Slarkovs' daily lives. Gustav saw families gathered together, sharing meals and stories. He saw scholars and scientists working diligently in their laboratories, pushing the boundaries of knowledge and discovery. He saw artists creating breathtaking works of beauty, their expressions a testament to the creativity and passion of the Slarkovs. They were so much like us, Gustav realized. They loved, they learned, they created. Their civilization was a reflection of the best aspects of intelligent life. The playback continued, showing the Slarkovs' interactions with neighboring planets and species. They were explorers and diplomats, seeking to expand their understanding of the universe and build alliances with other intelligent beings. Gustav watched as they traveled to distant worlds, sharing their knowledge and forming bonds of friendship and cooperation. They weren't just advanced, they were compassionate and wise, Gustav thought. They sought to connect with others, to learn and grow together. Their legacy is one of unity and understanding. But the scenes soon took a darker turn. The playback showed the first signs of trouble, the ominous presence of the dark plane beginning to encroach upon Humbad. Gustav watched as the Slarkovs struggled to understand and combat this new threat. Their advanced technology, so powerful and effective against other challenges, seemed to falter in the face of the dark plane's malevolent influence. They faced an insurmountable challenge, Gustav thought, his heart heavy with empathy. Despite all their knowledge and power, the dark plane was something they couldn't fully comprehend or control. The holographic images showed the desperate efforts of the Slarkovs to save their world. They developed new technologies, devised intricate plans, and fought with unwavering determination. Gustav could see the fear and resolve in their eyes as they battled against the encroaching darkness. They gave everything they had, Gustav realized. They fought with all their strength, but it wasn't enough. The dark plane was relentless, and their world was dragged into the stagnant citrus void. The scenes of chaos and destruction played out before him, the once thriving city of Humbad reduced to ruins. The ground split open, revealing the molten core beneath, and the elegant structures crumbled into dust. The inhabitants, so full of life and hope, were consumed by the darkness. They were wiped out, Gustav thought, a deep sadness settling over him. Their civilization, their knowledge, their dreams all lost to the void. As the playback came to an end, Gustav stood in the silent chamber, the weight of what he had witnessed pressing heavily on his heart. The truth about planet Humbad and the Slarkovs had been laid bare before him, and he felt a profound connection to their legacy. I understand now, he thought. The Slarkov story is a warning and a guide. Their struggles and sacrifices must not be forgotten. I must use what I've learned here to protect our universe and prevent the same fate from befalling us. He looked around the chamber, taking in the intricate machinery and the flickering holograms. The knowledge and technology of the Slarkovs were within his reach, preserved in Dimension 6. It was a treasure trove of information, a lifeline that could help him combat the dark plane and protect his world. I will honor your memory, Gustav vowed silently. I will use what you've left behind to ensure that your sacrifices were not in vain. With renewed determination, he approached the central console, ready to delve deeper into the wealth of information contained within the archive. Each discovery brought him closer to understanding the nature of the dark plane and the means to combat it. The journey was far from over, but Gustav knew that he was on the right path. As he worked, he felt the presence of Miss Amy guiding him, her strength and wisdom echoing in his mind. You believed in me, he thought, and I will not let you down. Hours turned into days as Gustav continued his search, the vast archive revealing its secrets to him. He learned about the advanced technology of the Slarkovs, their struggles and triumphs, and the forces that had ultimately led to their downfall. Each piece of knowledge was a step closer to finding a solution, a way to protect their universe from the same fate. The Slarkovs' legacy will not be forgotten, he vowed. I will use what I have learned here to ensure a brighter future for all. The journey ahead was filled with challenges, but Gustav felt ready to face them. The knowledge and technology of Humbad provided him with the tools he needed to combat the dark plane and prevent the final premonition from coming to pass. With renewed resolve, he continued his work, guided by the strength and wisdom of those who had come before him. As the stars shone brightly above, a reminder of the vastness of the universe and the endless possibilities that lay ahead, Gustav pressed on. The future of the universe hung in the balance, but he was prepared to do whatever it took to ensure its survival. The past continued to unfold before Gustav, revealing more layers of the Slarkovs' history and the challenges they faced. The holographic playback showed a time when Humbad existed in an era dominated by powerful beings who were essentially deities. These beings possessed unimaginable power, and their very presence could alter the fabric of reality. Gustav watched in awe as the images shifted to show these deities, titanic figures of immense strength and majesty. They moved with a grace that belied their size, their forms shimmering with otherworldly energy. Their battles were cataclysmic, shaking the very foundations of the cosmos. The deities, Gustav thought, beings of such immense power that their battles could affect entire worlds. How did the Slarkovs survive in such a time? The playback showed one such battle, taking place just outside their solar system. The deities clashed with a force that sent shockwaves rippling through space. Even though the battle was far from Humbad, the residual energies from the conflict were enough to cause catastrophic damage on the planet. Gustav's eyes widened as he saw the planet shake, the ground splitting open and buildings crumbling. The inhabitants of Humbad screamed and ran for cover, but many were caught in the devastation. The scene was heart-wrenching, the loss of life immense. They were caught in the crossfire of a conflict that had nothing to do with them, Gustav realized, his heart heavy with empathy. Innocent lives lost because of the battles of gods. The holographic images showed the aftermath of the battle. The once thriving city lay in ruins, the ground scarred and broken. The Slarkovs were resilient, though. They gathered together to rebuild, their determination and spirit undiminished. They didn't give up, Gustav thought, admiration swelling in his chest. They faced unimaginable challenges, but they kept going. The scenes shifted to show more battles, each one leaving its mark on Humbad. The planet bore the scars of conflicts it had no part in, the residual energies from the deities' battles causing untold suffering. The Slarkovs, however, were determined to find a way to protect themselves. They couldn't rely on the deities to care about their lives, Gustav mused. They had to take matters into their own hands. The playback showed the Slarkov scientists and engineers working tirelessly to develop a solution. Their technology was already advanced, but they needed something extraordinary to protect their people from the fallout of the titanic battles. The holographic images shifted to a grand laboratory, filled with intricate machinery and glowing consoles. Gustav watched as the Slarkovs devised protective protocols, creating a system that would shield their planet from the residual energies of the deities' battles. They were brilliant, Gustav thought, or filling his mind. They found a way to safeguard their world against forces that were beyond their control. The playback showed the implementation of the protective protocols. Massive towers were constructed, each one pulsing with energy. These towers created a barrier around the planet, designed to absorb and neutralize the residual energies from the deities' battles. As the barrier came online, the holographic images showed another battle taking place outside their solar system. The deities clashed with the same devastating force, but this time, Humbad was prepared. The barrier absorbed the shockwaves, protecting the planet and its inhabitants. It worked, Gustav whispered, relief washing over him. They finally had a way to protect themselves. The scenes shifted to show the Slarkovs celebrating their victory. Families gathered together, children playing in the streets, and the city was filled with joy and relief. The protective protocols had given them a sense of security and peace that they had longed for. They deserved this, Gustav thought, a smile forming on his lips. After everything they went through, they finally had a way to live without fear. As he continued to watch, Gustav felt a deep connection to the Slarkovs. Their resilience, their determination, and their ingenuity were qualities he admired and aspired to embody. They faced challenges that seemed insurmountable, he mused, but they never gave up. They found a way to protect their world and their people. I must do the same. The playback continued to show the daily lives of the Slarkovs. With the protective protocols in place, they flourished. Their technology advanced even further, and they explored new frontiers, always seeking to expand their knowledge and understanding of the universe. Gustav watched as the Slarkovs traveled to distant worlds, forming alliances and sharing their technology with other civilizations. They were explorers, diplomats, and scholars, driven by a thirst for knowledge and a desire to connect with others. They were extraordinary, Gustav thought, admiration swelling in his chest. Their legacy is one of resilience, ingenuity, and compassion. Chapter 1552A Planetary Coup. Chapter 1552A Planetary Coup. Author's note. Unedited chapter. The holographic playback continued to reveal the history of the Slarkovs, painting a vivid picture of their incredible journey. The protection protocols they had developed worked well for centuries, shielding their planet from the devastating residual energies of the deities' battles. The Slarkovs thrived, their civilization reaching new heights of technological and cultural advancement. Gustav watched as the holographic images showed the peaceful and prosperous lives of the Slarkovs. The once constant threat of annihilation had been mitigated by their ingenuity, allowing them to focus on growth and exploration. They were safe, Gustav thought, feeling a sense of relief. Their brilliance had given them a chance to flourish, to live without fear. But then the scenes began to shift, showing a darker time in Humbad's history. A time when the peace they had worked so hard to achieve was shattered in an instant. The playback depicted a colossal battle between deities, closer than any before. The sheer force of their clash sent shockwaves through the cosmos, their energies colliding with a power that defied comprehension. Despite the protective protocols in place, the proximity of the battle overwhelmed the defenses. Gustav's heart sank as he saw the barriers falter and fail. The towers that had once stood as sentinels of safety now crumbled under the onslaught of residual energy. Buildings shattered, and the ground split open, fire and molten rock spewing forth from the wounds inflicted on the planet's surface. "Oh no," Gustav whispered, his voice filled with despair. The protective protocols weren't enough. They were overwhelmed. The holographic playback showed the chaos that ensued. The skies darkened with ash and smoke, and the air was filled with the screams of the dying and the roar of the planet's agony. Millions of Slarkovs lost their lives in the devastation, their once vibrant city now a landscape of ruin and despair. They fought so hard to protect themselves, Gustav thought, tears welling in his eyes. But it wasn't enough. They couldn't escape the wrath of the deities. In the midst of this cataclysmic event, the playback highlighted a moment that would change everything. As the deities clashed, a single drop of blood, golden in color, fell from one of the titans. This drop of blood was unlike any other, imbued with unimaginable power. SSS Gustav watched in awe as the golden drop descended through the atmosphere, glowing with an intense, radiant light. It struck the surface of Humbad with a force that defied belief, burrowing deep into the planet's crust. The ground trembled and shook as the blood continued to bore its way toward the core. "What is this?" Gustav wondered aloud, his eyes fixed on the scene. "This blood, it's doing something to the planet." The playback zoomed in, following the path of the golden blood as it journeyed deeper into Humbad. It finally reached the core, and there, something extraordinary happened. The core began to shift and change, infused with the divine energy of the deity's blood. From this convergence of energies, Dimension 6 was formed. The playback showed the core transforming into a nexus of incredible power, a place where the boundaries of reality were fluid and the impossible became possible. Gustav's mind raced as he tried to comprehend what he was seeing. Dimension 6, it was born from the blood of a deity. That's why it's so powerful, so unique. The holographic images shifted again, showing the aftermath of the battle. The Slarkovs, resilient as ever, began to rebuild. They discovered Dimension 6 and realized the potential it held. They studied it, harnessed its power, and used it to aid in their recovery and advancement. "This is incredible," Gustav thought, his heart filled with awe and wonder. Dimension 6 became a source of strength for them, a beacon of hope in their darkest hour. The playback continued, showing the Slarkovs' exploration of Dimension 6. They built constructs to access and control its power, using it to heal their planet and enhance their technology. The golden energy of the deity's blood became a cornerstone of their civilization, a reminder of their resilience and ingenuity. They turned tragedy into triumph, Gustav realized, admiration swelling in his chest. They found a way to not only survive but thrive. As the scenes played out, Gustav saw the Slarkovs harness the power of Dimension 6 to create new technologies, explore distant worlds, and expand their understanding of the universe. They forged alliances with other civilizations, sharing their knowledge and forming bonds of friendship and cooperation. They were truly extraordinary, Gustav thought. Their legacy is one of strength, resilience, and unity. The playback showed the Slarkovs continuing to flourish, their civilization reaching new heights. They used the power of Dimension 6 to protect themselves from future threats, ensuring that their world would never again face the devastation they had once endured. Gustav felt a deep connection to the Slarkovs, their story resonating with him on a profound level. Their struggles and triumphs must not be forgotten, he thought. I must use what I have learned here to protect my own world and ensure that their legacy lives on. As the playback came to an end, Gustav stood in the silent chamber, the weight of what he had witnessed pressing heavily on his heart. The truth about planet Humbad and the Slarkovs had been laid bare before him, and he felt a profound sense of responsibility. I understand now, he thought. The Slarkov story is a warning and a guide. Their struggles and sacrifices must not be forgotten. I must use what I've learned here to protect our universe and prevent the same fate from befalling us. He looked around the chamber, taking in the intricate machinery and the flickering holograms. The knowledge and technology of the Slarkovs were within his reach, preserved in Dimension 6. It was a treasure trove of information, a lifeline that could help him combat the Dark Plane and protect his world. I will honor your memory, Gustav vowed silently. I will use what you've left behind to ensure that your sacrifices were not in vain. With renewed determination, he approached the central console, ready to delve deeper into the wealth of information contained within the archive. Each discovery brought him closer to understanding the nature of the Dark Plane and the means to combat it. The journey was far from over, but Gustav knew that he was on the right path. As he worked, he felt the presence of Miss Amy guiding him, her strength and wisdom echoing in his mind. You believed in me, he thought, and I will not let you down. Hours turned into days as Gustav continued his search, the vast archive revealing its secrets to him. He learned about the advanced technology of the Slarkovs, their struggles and triumphs, and the forces that had ultimately led to their downfall. Each piece of knowledge was a step closer to finding a solution, a way to protect their universe from the same fate. The Slarkovs' legacy will not be forgotten, he vowed. I will use what I have learned here to ensure a brighter future for all. The journey ahead was filled with challenges, but Gustav felt ready to face them. The knowledge and technology of Humbad provided him with the tools he needed to combat the Dark Plane and prevent the final premonition from coming to pass. With renewed resolve, he continued his work, guided by the strength and wisdom of those who had come before him. As the stars shone brightly above, a reminder of the vastness of the universe and the endless possibilities that lay ahead, Gustav pressed on. The future of the universe hung in the balance, but he was prepared to do whatever it took to ensure its survival. SSS Gustav stood transfixed as the construct continued to reveal the history of the Slarkovs. It was as if he were walking through the past, witnessing the events firsthand. The holographic playback allowed him to experience the wonders and tragedies of planet Humbad as if he were living it all in real time. The scene shifted to the moment when the golden drop of deity blood fell onto Humbad. The ground trembled as the divine energy burrowed deep into the planet, reaching its core and creating Dimension 6. But the transformation didn't stop there. The energy from the drop of blood spread across the entire planet, altering everything it touched. Gustav watched in awe as the golden energy flowed through the streets and into the bodies of the Slarkovs. Their DNA was being rewritten, their very essence transformed by the divine power. He saw the expressions of wonder and fear on their faces as they felt the changes within themselves. This energy, it's changing them, Gustav thought, his eyes wide with amazement. They're gaining new abilities, powers beyond their wildest dreams. The holographic playback showed the immediate aftermath of the transformation. The Slarkovs began to exhibit supernatural abilities. Some could manipulate the elements, conjuring fire, water, and lightning with a mere thought. Others could move objects with their minds, heal injuries with a touch, or even see glimpses of the future. This is incredible, Gustav whispered, watching a Slarkov woman create a swirling vortex of water with a wave of her hand. They've become something more than they were, something extraordinary. The scenes shifted to show the Slarkovs exploring their newfound powers. Children played in the streets, creating sparks of light and miniature whirlwinds. Scholars and scientists studied their abilities, seeking to understand the extent of their transformation. There was a sense of wonder and excitement, a feeling that they had been given a gift. Gustav walked through the holographic city, feeling as if he were truly there. He watched as a group of Slarkov men practiced their abilities, lifting massive boulders with their minds and creating barriers of pure energy. The air hummed with the power they wielded, a tangible force that seemed to resonate with the very fabric of reality. These abilities, Gustav thought, they're amazing. The Slarkovs have been given a chance to reach new heights, to achieve things they never thought possible. But as time passed, the playback began to show the darker side of their transformation. The initial excitement gave way to fear and tension as the Slarkovs struggled to control their new powers. Conflicts arose, fueled by jealousy and ambition. Accidents happened, and lives were lost in the chaos. The holographic images showed a marketplace in ruins, the result of a battle between two Slarkovs who had let their powers spiral out of control. Buildings were reduced to rubble, and fires raged, casting an eerie glow over the scene. This is terrible, Gustav thought, his heart heavy with sorrow. Their powers are tearing them apart. What was meant to be a gift has become a curse. He saw the expressions of fear and desperation on the faces of the survivors. The The once thriving city was now marred by destruction and division. The Slarkovs, who had once been united in their pursuit of knowledge and progress, were now divided by the very powers that had set them apart. The playback shifted to show the Slarkov leaders gathering in a grand hall, their faces etched with worry. Gustav could almost hear their voices, filled with tension and concern, as they debated how to address the growing crisis. "We cannot continue like this," one of the leaders said, her voice trembling. "Our powers were meant to elevate us, but they are tearing us apart. We must find a way to control them," another leader added, his expression grim. "If we do not, our civilization will be destroyed from within." Gustav felt a pang of empathy for the Slarkovs. They had been given a gift that was beyond their understanding, and now they were grappling with the consequences. They need guidance, he thought. They need to find a way to harness their powers without losing themselves. The holographic images showed the Slarkovs working tirelessly to find a solution. They developed new technologies and techniques to help control their abilities, creating training centers and academies where individuals could learn to master their powers. But the road was fraught with challenges, and progress was slow. Gustav watched as a young Slarkov boy struggled to control his ability to manipulate fire. Flames danced around him, threatening to engulf everything in their path. A mentor stood nearby, guiding him with calm, steady instructions. "Focus, Joran," the mentor said. "Feel the fire within you, but do not let it consume you. You must learn to control it, to direct it with intention." The boy's expression was one of intense concentration. Slowly, the flames began to subside, coalescing into a small, controlled ball of fire in his hand. The mentor smiled, pride and relief evident in his eyes. "Well done, Joran," he said. "You are learning. With time and practice, you will master your abilities." Gustav felt a glimmer of hope as he watched the scene. They can do it, he thought. They can learn to control their powers and use them for good. They just need time and guidance. The playback continued to show the efforts of the Slarkovs to regain control of their society. They established laws and regulations to govern the use of their abilities, creating a framework that would allow them to live in harmony. But the scars of their initial struggles remained, a reminder of the price they had paid for their transformation. Chapter 1553 Things Fall Apart. Chapter 1553 Things Fall Apart. Author's note. Unedited chapter. As Gustav walked through the holographic city, he felt a deep sense of connection to the Slarkovs. He didn't know why yet, but he believed everything will be unveiled soon. The scenes shifted again, showing the Slarkovs using their abilities to rebuild their world. They harnessed their powers to heal the wounded, to construct new buildings, and to explore new frontiers. The golden energy of the deity's blood had given them the tools to achieve greatness, but it had also tested their limits. Gustav watched as a group of Slarkov scientists worked on a project to stabilize the planet's core, using their abilities to manipulate the energy of Dimension 6. The room hummed with power as they directed their focus, channeling their collective strength to achieve their goal. "Together, there is nothing we can't do," one of the scientists said, his voice filled with conviction. "We have the power to shape our destiny, to protect our world and ensure a brighter future." But what went wrong, Gustav wondered. The Construct's playback continued to unravel the complex history of the Slarkovs, showing Gustav the rise and fall of their civilization. Dimension 6, formed from the divine energy of the deity's blood, had become a place of limitless possibilities. Within its boundaries, one could manipulate reality, harness incredible power, and achieve feats that defied imagination. Gustav watched as the holographic images showed the Slarkovs discovering the potential of Dimension 6. They used it to heal their wounded, rebuild their cities, and create wonders beyond their wildest dreams. The initial period was one of prosperity and awe, as the Slarkovs reveled in the possibilities that the dimension offered. This place, Gustav thought, it must have seemed like a miracle, a gift that could solve all their problems. But as time passed, the allure of unlimited power began to corrupt. The playback depicted Slarkovs asking the dimension for increasingly selfish and extravagant things. They sought power beyond imagination, wealth without limit, and control over others. The purity of their intentions eroded, replaced by greed and ambition. Gustav watched with a heavy heart as the scenes showed the growing divide among the Slarkovs. Those who had gained immense power from Dimension 6 began to wield it over others, creating a hierarchy of haves and have-nots. Resentment and jealousy festered, and the once unified civilization began to fracture. Their own creation, Gustav mused, is tearing them apart. The very thing that was supposed to elevate them is now their undoing. The tension reached a breaking point, and the playback showed the outbreak of violence. An uprising occurred as factions of Slarkovs began to fight for control over Dimension 6. The streets of Humbad were filled with chaos and bloodshed, the air thick with the acrid smell of destruction. In one particularly harrowing scene, Gustav watched as two opposing factions clashed in the heart of the city. Energy beams and elemental forces flew through the air, causing buildings to crumble and the ground to shake. The once beautiful cityscape was now a war zone. "We must control Dimension 6, one Slarkov leader shouted, his voice echoing through the chaos. "It's the only way to bring order to this madness." Another leader, standing opposite him, retorted, "No one should have that much power. We must destroy it before it destroys us all." The battle raged on, the city being torn apart by the conflict. Gustav felt a deep sense of sorrow as he watched the destruction. "They've lost sight of what truly matters," he thought. "Their quest for power has blinded them to the consequences." The playback shifted to show the aftermath of the battle. The victorious faction had taken control of Dimension 6, and with it, the fate of the planet. They established strict control over access to the dimension, enslaving those who opposed them and using their newfound power to dominate the rest of the population. The once proud Slarkovs were now divided into rulers and the oppressed, their society fractured beyond repair. Gustav watched as the holographic images showed scenes of slavery and subjugation. The rulers used the power of Dimension 6 to enforce their will, creating a dystopian nightmare for those who had once been their equals. "This is horrible," Gustav whispered, his heart aching for the Slarkovs. They've turned on each other, and their civilization is crumbling from within. He saw images of families torn apart, children separated from their parents, and individuals forced to work in harsh conditions. The once thriving culture of the Slarkovs was now a shadow of its former self, consumed by greed and tyranny. One scene showed a young Slarkov girl, her eyes filled with fear and determination, speaking to an older man. "We can't live like this anymore," she said, her voice trembling. "We have to fight back." The man, weary and broken, shook his head. "What can we do? They control Dimension 6. They have all the power. But we have to try," the girl insisted. "We can't let them destroy everything we stand for." Gustav felt a pang of empathy for the girl. "She's right," he thought. "They can't give up. They have to find a way to reclaim their world." The playback continued to show the struggles of the oppressed Slarkovs. Small groups formed resistance movements, attempting to sabotage the rulers and regain control of Dimension 6. The battles were fierce, and the cost was high, but the spirit of the Slarkovs refused to be completely crushed. In one scene, Gustav watched as a group of rebels infiltrated a heavily guarded facility where the rulers controlled access to Dimension 6. The tension was palpable as they moved through the shadows, avoiding detection and disabling security systems. "We have to disable the control node," one of the rebels whispered. "It's the only way to disrupt their hold on the dimension." The leader of the group nodded, determination in his eyes. "Let's do this for our people. For our future." Gustav's heart pounded as he watched the rebels move with precision and bravery. They reached the control node and began to dismantle it, but just as they were about to succeed, an alarm sounded. Guards rushed in, and a fierce battle ensued. The holographic playback showed the rebels fighting valiantly, but the odds were against them. One by one, they fell, their sacrifice a testament to their courage and determination. The scene ended with the control node intact and the surviving rebels captured or killed. Gustav felt a deep sense of loss. They fought so hard, he thought, but the cost was too high. Their struggle continues, but their hope remains. The playback shifted to show the rulers tightening their grip on Dimension 6, using its power to crush any remaining resistance. The city of Humbad, once a beacon of progress and unity, was now a place of fear and oppression. Gustav walked through the holographic streets, feeling the weight of the Slarkov's suffering. He saw the haunted faces of the oppressed, their eyes filled with despair and longing for a better future. The ruler's arrogance and cruelty were evident in every corner of the city. How did it come to this? Gustav thought, his heart heavy with sorrow. Their quest for power has led them to ruin. They lost everything they once held dear. As the playback continued, Gustav saw glimpses of hope amidst the darkness. Small acts of kindness and solidarity, moments of resistance and defiance, kept the spirit of the Slarkovs alive. The oppressed refused to be completely broken, and their resilience shone through the bleakness. One scene showed a young Slarkov boy sneaking food to a group of rebels hiding in the ruins of a building. His eyes were filled with determination and hope. "We won't give up," he said to the leader of the rebels. "Well, keep fighting." The leader, touched by the boy's courage, nodded. "Thank you. Your bravery gives us strength." Gustav felt a glimmer of hope. Even in the darkest times, he thought, there is still light. The spirit of the Slarkovs will never be extinguished. As the playback came to an end, Gustav stood in the silent chamber, the weight of what he had witnessed pressing heavily on his heart. The truth about Dimension 6 and the Slarkov struggle had been laid bare before him, and he felt a profound sense of responsibility. "I understand now," he thought. "The Slarkov story is a warning and a guide. Their struggles and sacrifices must not be forgotten. I must use what I've learned here to protect our universe and prevent the same fate from befalling us." He looked around the chamber, taking in the intricate machinery and the flickering holograms. The knowledge and technology of the Slarkovs were within his reach, preserved in Dimension 6. It was a treasure trove of information, a lifeline that could help him combat the Dark Plane and protect his world. "I will honor your memory," Gustav vowed silently. "I will use what you've left behind to ensure that your sacrifices were not in vain." With renewed determination, he approached the central console, ready to delve deeper into the wealth of information contained within the archive. Each discovery brought him closer to understanding the nature of the Dark Plane and the means to combat it. The journey was far from over, but Gustav knew that he was on the right path. As he worked, he felt the presence of Miss Amy guiding him, her strength and wisdom echoing in his mind. "You believed in me," he thought, "and I will not let you down." Hours turned into days as Gustav continued his search, the vast archive revealing its secrets to him. He learned about the advanced technology of the Slarkovs, their struggles and triumphs, and the forces that had ultimately led to their downfall. Each piece of knowledge was a step closer to finding a solution, a way to protect their universe from the same fate. "The Slarkovs' legacy will not be forgotten," he vowed. "I will use what I have learned here to ensure a brighter future for all." The journey ahead was filled with challenges, but Gustav felt ready to face them. The knowledge and technology of Humbad provided him with the tools he needed to combat the Dark Plane and prevent the final premonition from coming to pass. With renewed resolve, he continued his work, guided by the strength and wisdom of those who had come before him. As the stars shone brightly above, a reminder of the vastness of the universe and the endless possibilities that lay ahead, Gustav pressed on. The future of the universe hung in the balance, but he was prepared to do whatever it took to ensure its survival. Chapter 1554 Rewriting Reality. Chapter 1554 Rewriting Reality. Author's note. Unedited chapter. The holographic playback showed the turmoil that had engulfed planet Humbad, with the conflict and instability continuing for a long time. The once proud civilization of the Slarkovs was now a battleground, with various factions vying for control over Dimension 6. The planet's surface was scarred by the battles, and the air was thick with the scent of smoke and ash. Gustav felt a deep sense of sorrow as he walked through the holographic city, witnessing the devastation firsthand. They were so close to achieving greatness, he thought, but their greed and ambition tore them apart. The playback focused on a particular Slarkov, a figure who seemed to move with purpose and determination through the chaos. His name was Fromboltin, a brilliant scientist and a visionary who had watched his world descend into madness. Froomboltin believed that the only way to save his people was to fundamentally change the nature of Dimension 6. Gustav watched as Froomboltin snuck into a heavily guarded facility, using his knowledge of technology and subterfuge to bypass security measures. He's taking a great risk, Gustav thought, his heart pounding with anticipation. But he knows that this is the only way to bring about change. Froomboltin finally reached the entrance to Dimension 6. The holographic playback showed him standing before the portal, a mix of fear and determination on his face. "This is it," he whispered to himself. "If I can give the dimension sentience, maybe it will be able to put an end to this chaos." He stepped through the portal, entering the heart of Dimension 6. The space around him was a swirling vortex of energy and light, a place where the boundaries of reality were fluid and malleable. Froomboltin took a deep breath and began to work, using his knowledge and the tools he had brought with him to interact with the dimension's core. Gustav watched in awe as Froomboltin's hands moved with precision and expertise, manipulating the energy of Dimension 6. He's trying to give it consciousness, Gustav realized. He's making it capable of understanding and enforcing rules. Hours turned into days as Froomboltin continued his work, his body and mind pushed to their limits. Finally, with a final adjustment, he stepped back and watched as the energy of the dimension coalesced into a singular form, a glowing entity that pulsed with awareness. The entity spoke, its voice resonating with the power of the dimension. "I am Dimension 6, it said. "I have gained sentience." Froomboltin fell to his knees, exhausted but relieved. "Thank you," he said, his voice trembling. "You must help us. The greed of my people has torn our world apart. We need rules, guidance." The entity seemed to consider his words, its form shifting and flickering. "I understand," it replied. "From now on, there will be a rule: do not be greedy. Seek only that which you need, not that which you want. Those who are greedy will face punishment." Froomboltin nodded, tears streaming down his face. "And the abilities," he said. "The supernatural powers that have caused so much destruction. We must find a way to control them." The entity's glow intensified, and it seemed to reach out, touching the very fabric of the Slarkov's DNA. "I will lock the DNA that grants these abilities," it said. "Those who have abused their power will lose it. Only those who seek to use it responsibly will retain their abilities." Gustav felt a surge of hope as he watched the scene. Froomboltin has done it, he thought. Has given Dimension 6 the power to enforce order and limit the chaos. The playback shifted to show the immediate aftermath of Froomboltin's actions. The forces that had taken over and abused their powers suddenly found themselves powerless. Their supernatural abilities vanished, leaving them vulnerable and confused. A battle for control erupted as those who had been oppressed saw their chance to rise up. Gustav watched as the holographic images showed fierce fighting, but this time, the tide had turned. The rulers who had relied on their abilities to maintain control were now at a disadvantage, and the oppressed seized the opportunity to reclaim their freedom. In the heart of the city, Froomboltin stood before a gathering of Slarkovs, his voice filled with conviction. "We have been given a second chance," he said. "Dimension 6 will no longer be a tool for greed and destruction. We must use it wisely, to rebuild our world and ensure that such chaos never happens again." The crowd listened, their faces reflecting a mix of hope and determination. One Slarkov stepped forward, his expression resolute. "We will follow your lead, Froomboltin. Together, we can create a better future for all of us." Gustav felt a sense of pride as he watched the Slarkovs unite. "They've learned from their mistakes," he thought. "They know now that power must be used responsibly." The playback showed the Slarkovs working together to rebuild their society. They used the power of Dimension 6, now guided by its sentient entity, to heal the wounds of their planet and restore order. The golden energy that had once caused so much strife was now a force for good, a symbol of their resilience and unity. As he continued to watch, Gustav saw scenes of cooperation and progress. The Slarkovs established new laws and governance, ensuring that the mistakes of the past would not be repeated. The rule of not being greedy was enforced by Dimension 6, and those who sought to abuse their power were swiftly dealt with. One scene showed Formboltyn speaking to a group of young Slarkovs, his voice filled with wisdom and hope. "Remember this," he said. "Power is a tool, not a right. Use it to help others, to build and create, not to destroy. We have been given a gift, but with it comes great responsibility." The children listened, their eyes wide with understanding. "We will remember," one of them said. "We will honor the legacy of Dimension 6. Gustav felt a deep sense of connection to the Slarkovs and their journey. Their story is one of redemption and growth, he thought. They faced unimaginable challenges, but they found a way to rise above them. As the playback came to an end, Gustav stood in the silent chamber, the weight of what he had witnessed pressing heavily on his heart. The truth about Dimension 6 and the Slarkov struggle had been laid bare before him, and he felt a profound sense of responsibility. "I understand now," he thought. "The Slarkov story is a warning and a guide. Their struggles and sacrifices must not be forgotten. I must use what I've learned here to protect our universe and prevent the same fate from befalling us." He looked around the chamber, taking in the intricate machinery and the flickering holograms. The knowledge and technology of the Slarkovs were within his reach, preserved in Dimension 6. It was a treasure trove of information, a lifeline that could help him combat the dark plane and protect his world. "I will honor your memory," Gustav vowed silently. "I will use what you've left behind to ensure that your sacrifices were not in vain." With renewed determination, he approached the central console, ready to delve deeper into the wealth of information contained within the archive. Each discovery brought him closer to understanding the nature of the dark plane and the means to combat it. The journey was far from over, but Gustav knew that he was on the right path. As he worked, he felt the presence of Miss Amy guiding him, her strength and wisdom echoing in his mind. "You believed in me," he thought, "and I will not let you down." Hours turned into days as Gustav continued his search, the vast archive revealing its secrets to him. He learned about the advanced technology of the Slarkovs, their struggles and triumphs, and the forces that had ultimately led to their downfall. Each piece of knowledge was a step closer to finding a solution, a way to protect their universe from the same fate. "The Slarkovs' legacy will not be forgotten," he vowed. "I will use what I have learned here to ensure a brighter future for all." The journey ahead was filled with challenges, but Gustav felt ready to face them. The knowledge and technology of Humbad provided him with the tools he needed to combat the dark plane and prevent the final premonition from coming to pass. With renewed resolve, he continued his work, guided by the strength and wisdom of those who had come before him. As the stars shone brightly above, a reminder of the vastness of the universe and the endless possibilities that lay ahead, Gustav pressed on. The future of the universe hung in the balance, but he was prepared to do whatever it took to ensure its survival. The construct continued to show the unfolding history of the Slarkovs, revealing how the tides had turned in favor of Formboltyn and his followers. Gustav watched as Formboltyn's forces, armed with determination and the newly established rules of Dimension 6, slowly gained the upper hand in the battle for control. Formboltyn's strategic brilliance and his deep understanding of Dimension 6 played a crucial role in their victories. Gustav saw scenes of fierce battles, with Formboltyn leading his forces with courage and conviction. His ability to inspire and unite the oppressed Slarkovs became a beacon of hope for many. As the dust settled, it became clear that Formboltyn's forces had emerged victorious. The oppressive rulers who had abused their power were overthrown, and a new era began. The playback showed Formboltyn standing before a massive assembly of Slarkovs, their faces filled with hope and anticipation. "Today marks a new beginning for us all," Formboltyn declared, his voice resonating through the crowd. "We have reclaimed our world from the grip of tyranny. We will build a society where freedom and fairness are paramount, where every Slarkov has the opportunity to thrive." The crowd erupted in cheers, their voices filled with joy and relief. Gustav felt a surge of pride as he watched the scene. Formboltyn has given them hope, he thought. He has shown them that they can rise above their challenges and create a better future. Formboltyn continued, "Dimension 6 is a place of incredible potential, but it is not a place for greed and selfish desires. It has gained sentience and established rules that we must all follow. These rules are clear: do not be greedy. Seek only what you need, not what you want. If we abide by these principles, we can use Dimension 6 to rebuild and flourish. The assembly nodded in agreement, understanding the importance of these rules. Framboltin's leadership had brought them through their darkest times, and they were ready to follow his guidance. SSS in the weeks and months that followed, Humbad began to flourish once again. The scenes shifted to show the Slarkovs working together to rebuild their cities, using their advanced technology to heal the wounds of their planet. The golden energy of Dimension 6 was now a force for good, helping them create new technologies and infrastructures. Gustav watched as the holographic images depicted bustling streets filled with life and activity. The buildings, once ruined by conflict, were now restored to their former glory, their sleek lines and elegant designs a testament to the Slarkovs' ingenuity. "We have been given a second chance," Framboltin said to a group of young Slarkovs. "Our DNA is now locked, and we have returned to being a purely technological society. This is our opportunity to focus on progress and unity, to create a future that honors the sacrifices of those who came before us." One of the young Slarkovs, a girl with bright eyes and a curious mind, asked, "Chief Framboltin, what can we do to ensure that we never fall into chaos again?" Framboltin smiled warmly at her. "We must remember the lessons of our past," he replied. "We must use our technology wisely and ensure that power is never concentrated in the hands of a few. We must work together, support each other, and always prioritize the greater good." The girl nodded, inspired by his words. "I will do my best to help," she said earnestly. "I want to be a part of this new future." Gustav felt a deep sense of admiration for Framboltin. He understands the importance of unity and responsibility, he thought. He is leading them toward a brighter future. The scenes continued to show the progress of the Slarkovs. They developed new technologies that harnessed the power of Dimension 6 while adhering to its rules. The golden energy was used to create sustainable energy sources, advanced medical treatments, and innovative solutions to environmental challenges. In one scene, Gustav watched as a group of scientists worked on a project to purify the planet's water supply. They used the energy from Dimension 6 to create a device that could cleanse pollutants and restore the natural balance of their ecosystems. "This will revolutionize our planet," one of the scientists said, her voice filled with excitement. "We can ensure that every Slarkov has access to clean, safe water." Framboltin, who was visiting the lab, nodded in approval. "This is exactly the kind of innovation we need," he said. "By working together and using our resources wisely, we can create a future where every Slarkov can thrive." Gustav felt a sense of hope and optimism as he watched the Slarkovs' progress. They have learned from their past, he thought. They are building a society based on fairness, cooperation, and responsibility. The playback shifted to show scenes of daily life on Humbad. Families gathered in parks, children played in the streets, and communities came together to celebrate their achievements. The air was filled with a sense of joy and unity, a stark contrast to the chaos and conflict that had once plagued their world. One evening, Framboltin stood before a gathering of Slarkovs in a newly built amphitheater. The sky above was filled with stars, and the air was filled with anticipation. "We have come a long way," Framboltin began, his voice carrying through the crowd. "We have faced incredible challenges and endured great hardships. But through it all, we have remained resilient and determined. We have rebuilt our world and created a society that honors the values of freedom and fairness. We have come a long way," Framboltin began, his voice carrying through the crowd. "We have faced incredible challenges and endured great hardships. But through it all, we have remained resilient and determined. We have rebuilt our world and created a society that honors the values of freedom and fairness." The crowd listened intently, their faces reflecting the pride and hope that Framboltin's words inspired. "Dimension 6 is a part of our legacy," he continued. "It is a reminder of the power we hold and the responsibility that comes with it. Let us use this power wisely, to create a future that is bright and filled with possibilities." A young boy in the front row raised his hand, his eyes shining with curiosity. Chief Thornbolton, what do you see for our future? Chapter 1555 A Deity's Promise. Chapter 1555 A Deity's Promise. Author's note. Unedited chapter. Thornbolton smiled, his gaze filled with warmth and wisdom. I see a future where we continue to innovate and explore, where we use our technology to solve problems and improve lives. I see a future where every Slarkov has the opportunity to reach their full potential. And most importantly, I see a future where we remain united, working together for the greater good. The crowd erupted in applause, their voices filled with enthusiasm and hope. Centuries passed, and the legacy of Thornbolton was carefully maintained. Each new chief, chosen from his lineage, ruled with the same principles of fairness and unity that Thornbolton had instilled. The Slarkovs flourished under this steady leadership, their society becoming a beacon of technological advancement and harmony. Gustav watched as the holographic playback showed the peaceful progression of time on Humbad. The cityscapes evolved, with towering structures of sleek design and sprawling green spaces that reflected their commitment to sustainability. The golden energy of Dimension 6 continued to power their innovations, and the Slarkovs lived in a state of balance and prosperity. Thornbolton's vision has truly come to life, Gustav thought, admiring the scenes of progress and cooperation. Thieves built a world where everyone has the opportunity to thrive. The playback shifted to a grand ceremony, where Thornbolton the 45th was being inaugurated as the new chief. The amphitheater was filled with Slarkovs, their faces reflecting pride and hope. Thornbolton the 45th, a tall and wise-looking figure, stood before them, his expression one of solemn responsibility. As I take on the mantle of chief, Thornbolton the 45th began, his voice resonating through the amphitheater, I vow to uphold the principles that have guided our people for centuries. We will continue to use our technology wisely, to support one another, and to honor the legacy of our ancestors. The crowd erupted in applause, their voices filled with enthusiasm and support. Gustav felt a deep sense of admiration for Thornbolton the 45th. He carries the weight of his lineage with grace and dedication, he thought. He is the embodiment of their values. However, as the celebration continued, a shadow loomed on the horizon. The playback showed the skies darkening, an ominous sign of the impending tragedy. Another battle between deities had erupted, and this time, the consequences would be far more devastating. Gustav watched in horror as the playback depicted the colossal battle in space. The deities clashed with unimaginable force, their energies creating shockwaves that rippled through the cosmos. The very fabric of reality seemed to tremble under the weight of their conflict. Not again, Gustav thought, his heart sinking. The Slarkovs have already endured so much. How much more can they take? The battle reached a catastrophic climax when one of the deities was struck down. The defeated deity's corpse, massive beyond comprehension, began to drift through space. The playback highlighted the sheer scale of the body, which was as massive as the combination of 30 planets. As the deity's corpse floated toward Humbad's solar system, the sun was blotted out, casting the planet into darkness. The holographic images showed the Slarkovs looking up at the sky in terror and disbelief, their world plunged into an eerie twilight. Thornbolton the 45th addressed his people in the aftermath of the catastrophe. He stood on a platform, his face illuminated by the faint, golden glow of Dimension 6. My fellow Slarkovs, he said, his voice steady but filled with sorrow, we face a challenge unlike any we have encountered before. The corpse of a deity has cast a shadow over our world, and we must come together to find a way through this darkness. The crowd listened in silence, their faces reflecting their fear and uncertainty. One of the elders stepped forward, her expression grim. Chief Thornbolton, what can we do? Our crops are failing, and our energy reserves are depleting without the sun. How will we survive? Thornbolton the 45th nodded, understanding the gravity of their situation. We will use the power of Dimension 6 to sustain us, he replied. We have faced great challenges before, and we have always found a way to overcome them. We must remain united and work together to find solutions. Gustav watched as the holographic images showed the Slarkovs mobilizing to address the crisis. They used the golden energy of Dimension 6 to create artificial light sources, attempting to replicate the sun's rays to keep their crops alive. Engineers and scientists worked tirelessly to develop new technologies that could sustain them in the prolonged darkness. In one scene, Gustav saw a group of scientists gathered around a large device that emitted a powerful, golden light. "This should help keep the crops growing," one of the scientists said, adjusting the settings. "It's not a perfect solution, but it will buy us some time." Bolton the 45th visited the laboratories, offering his support and encouragement. "Your work is vital to our survival," he told the scientists. "We must use every resource at our disposal to ensure that our people have what they need to endure this crisis." Despite their efforts, the prolonged darkness began to take its toll. The playback showed scenes of hardship and struggle, with the Slarkovs facing food shortages and energy crises. The once thriving society was now grappling with the harsh reality of their situation. Gustav felt a deep sense of empathy for the Slarkovs. "They've worked so hard to build a fair and prosperous society," he thought. "Now they are facing a challenge that could undo everything they've achieved." In the midst of the crisis, Bolton the 45th continued to lead with unwavering resolve. He held regular meetings with the community, addressing their concerns and providing updates on their progress. "We will get through this," he assured them. "We have the strength and the ingenuity to overcome any obstacle." One evening, Bolton the 45th stood before the assembly, his face illuminated by the soft glow of Dimension 6. "I know that these are difficult times," he said, his voice carrying the weight of their collective struggle. "But we must remember who we are. We are the descendants of Bolton, a people who have faced adversity and emerged stronger. We will do so again." The assembly listened, their expressions a mix of hope and determination. Gustav felt a surge of admiration for Bolton the 45th. "He is a true leader," he thought. "He understands the importance of unity and resilience." As the months passed, the Slarkovs continued to adapt to their new reality. They developed new agricultural techniques to maximize their crop yields and discovered innovative ways to conserve energy. The playback showed scenes of cooperation and ingenuity, with the Slarkovs working together to ensure their survival. In one particularly inspiring scene, Gustav watched as a group of young Slarkovs planted seeds in a greenhouse illuminated by the golden light of Dimension 6. "We can do this," one of them said, her hands gently patting the soil. "We just need to keep trying." Bolton the 45th visited the greenhouse, his presence a source of encouragement for the young workers. "Your efforts are vital to our survival," he told them. "You are the future of our world, and your resilience gives us all hope." Gustav felt a deep connection to the Slarkovs and their struggle. "Their determination and ingenuity are truly remarkable," he thought. "They've faced so many challenges, but they never give up." The playback continued to show the gradual recovery of the planet. As the months went by, the deity's corpse slowly drifted away from their solar system, and the sun's light began to return. The scenes shifted to show the Slarkovs celebrating the return of the light, their faces filled with joy and relief. Bolton the 45th addressed his people once more, his voice filled with pride and gratitude. "We have endured a great darkness," he said, "but we have emerged stronger and more united than ever. Let us remember this time, and let it remind us of our resilience and our capacity for greatness." The crowd erupted in applause, their voices filled with enthusiasm and hope. Gustav felt a deep sense of admiration for the Slarkovs and their journey. "Their story is one of resilience and unity," he thought. "They've faced unimaginable challenges, but they have always found a way to rise above them." As the playback came to an end, Gustav stood in the silent chamber, the weight of what he had witnessed pressing heavily on his heart. The truth about Dimension 6 and the Slarkov struggle had been laid bare before him, and he felt a profound sense of responsibility. "I understand now," he thought. "The Slarkov story is a warning and a guide. Their struggles and sacrifices must not be forgotten. I must use what I've learned here to protect our universe and prevent the same fate from befalling us." He looked around the chamber, taking in the intricate machinery and the flickering holograms. The knowledge and technology of the Slarkovs were within his reach, preserved in Dimension 6. It was a treasure trove of information, a lifeline that could help him combat the Dark Plane and protect his world. "I will honor your memory," Gustav vowed silently. "I will use what you've left behind to ensure that your sacrifices were not in vain." With renewed determination, he approached the central console, ready to delve deeper into the wealth of information contained within the archive. Each discovery brought him closer to understanding the nature of the Dark Plane and the means to combat it. The journey was far from over, but Gustav knew that he was on the right path. As he worked, he felt the presence of Miss Amy guiding him, her strength and wisdom echoing in his mind. "You believed in me," he thought, "and I will not let you down." Hours turned into days as Gustav continued his search, the vast archive revealing its secrets to him. He learned about the advanced technology of the Slarkovs, their struggles and triumphs, and the forces that had ultimately led to their downfall. Each piece of SS the holographic playback continued, depicting the grim reality the Slarkovs faced after the death of the deity and the resultant eclipse of their sun. The initial challenge of surviving in darkness was compounded by a new and insidious threat, the ashy sand-like pollution emitted from the deity's corpse. This pollution began to spread through space, turning into a malevolent force that swallowed up orbital bodies, including moons and satellites. Gustav watched as the holographic images showed the spread of this pollution. It moved with a sinister, creeping inevitability, engulfing everything in its path. The Slarkovs, already struggling with the loss of sunlight, now faced an even greater existential threat. "We must protect ourselves," Fromboltin the 45th declared, his voice resolute as he addressed the council. "This pollution is unlike anything we've encountered before. We need to act quickly to safeguard our planet." The council members nodded in agreement, their faces reflecting their concern. One of the scientists, a middle-aged Slarkov with silver hair, spoke up. "We have developed barriers using the energy from Dimension 6, she said. "These barriers should be able to hold off the pollution and give us time to find a more permanent solution." Fromboltin the 45th looked at the council members, determination in his eyes. "Let's implement these barriers immediately. Every second counts." The playback shifted to show the Slarkovs working tirelessly to erect the barriers. Massive towers were constructed around the planet, each one pulsating with the golden energy of Dimension 6. The barriers shimmered with an ethereal light, forming a protective shield around Humbad. Gustav felt a sense of hope as he watched the Slarkovs' efforts. "They are doing everything they can to protect their world," he thought. "They won't give up without a fight." As the barriers were activated, the ashy sand-like pollution met with resistance. The barriers held strong, repelling the malevolent force and preventing it from reaching the planet's surface. The Slarkovs breathed a collective sigh of relief, their efforts seemingly paying off. Chapter 1556 Uncivilized World. Chapter 1556 Uncivilized World. Author's note. Unedited chapter. A member of Calder's faction, a fiery young Slarkov named Jael, stepped forward. "We cannot abandon our heritage. Humbad is our home. We must fight to protect it, not run away." Ilin, standing by Fromboltin's side, spoke up. "Our heritage is not tied to a place. It is within us, in our unity and resilience. We must survive to preserve our heritage. Leaving does not mean forgetting who we are." The debate raged on, with both sides presenting their arguments. Gustav felt the tension and urgency in the room. Their future hangs in the balance, he thought. They must find a way to unite, or all will be lost. Fromboltin knew that time was running out. He called for a vote among the representatives, hoping to reach a decision that would guide their next steps. In the end, the majority sided with Fromboltin. The decision to evacuate was made, and preparations began immediately. Engineers and scientists worked around the clock to develop the technology needed for the evacuation. Spaceships were constructed, and plans were made to transport the population to a new world. In one scene, Gustav watched as a group of engineers and scientists worked together in a high-tech lab, their faces filled with determination. "We need to ensure that the ships are ready for launch," one of them said, adjusting a control panel. "Our survival depends on it." Bolton visited the lab, offering his support and encouragement. "Your efforts are crucial to our survival," he told them. "We must do everything in our power to ensure a successful evacuation. Together, we will find a way." As the days turned into weeks, the preparations continued at a frantic pace. The atmosphere on Humbad was a mix of urgency and sorrow, as the Slarkovs prepared to leave the only home they had ever known. In one poignant scene, Gustav watched as a family packed their belongings, their faces filled with a mix of sadness and determination. "We will carry the spirit of Humbad with us," the mother said, her voice filled with resolve. "Our heritage lives on within us." The playback showed scenes of the final days on Humbad. The cities, once bustling with activity, were now filled with the sounds of evacuation. Families boarded the spaceships, their hearts heavy with the weight of leaving their home behind. SSSS Bolton the 45th addressed the people of Humbad, his voice filled with reassurance. "The barriers are holding, and we are safe for now. But we must remain vigilant and continue to seek a permanent solution to this threat." The playback showed the Slarkovs returning to their daily lives, their spirits lifted by the temporary reprieve. However, the shadow of the pollution still loomed large, a constant reminder of the danger they faced. Months turned into years, and the barriers continued to hold. The Slarkovs used this time to develop new technologies and strategies to combat the pollution. Scientists and engineers worked around the clock, searching for a way to neutralize the threat permanently. In one scene, Gustav watched as a group of scientists gathered in a high-tech laboratory, their faces etched with determination. "We've made some progress," one of them said, pointing to a holographic display. "We've developed a prototype device that might be able to disperse the pollution." Bolton the 45th, who was present in the lab, listened intently. "Excellent work," he said. "How soon can we test it?" The scientist hesitated. "We're still in the early stages of testing. We need more time to ensure it's safe and effective." Bolton the 45th nodded. "Understood. Keep me updated on your progress. The safety of our people depends on it." Despite their best efforts, the situation took a turn for the worse. The playback showed the barriers beginning to falter, the relentless pressure of the pollution wearing them down. Cracks appeared in the shimmering shield, and the malevolent force began to seep through. Gustav's heart sank as he watched the scene. "Thief fought so hard," he thought. "But the pollution is too powerful." The barriers finally gave way, and the pollution descended upon Humbad. The skies darkened with the ashy sand-like substance, and the air became thick and suffocating. The once thriving planet was now shrouded in a toxic haze. Bolton the 45th addressed his people, his voice filled with urgency. "We must evacuate to the underground shelters immediately. The pollution has breached our barriers, and it is not safe to remain above ground." The holographic images showed the Slarkovs moving quickly, gathering their belongings and heading to the shelters. Families huddled together, their faces reflecting their fear and uncertainty. The shelters, though safe, were cramped and dark, a stark contrast to the vibrant world they had known. Gustav felt a deep sense of sorrow as he watched the Slarkovs' plight. "They've done everything they can," he thought. "But this pollution is unlike anything they've ever faced." In one scene, Gustav saw Bolton the 45th in a dimly lit command center, surrounded by his advisors. "We need to find a way to neutralize this pollution," he said, his voice steady despite the gravity of the situation. "Our people cannot survive like this for long." One of the advisors, a tall Slarkov with piercing blue eyes, spoke up. "We've been working on a new prototype that might be able to disperse the pollution," he said. "But we need more time to refine it." Bolton the 45th nodded. "Do whatever it takes. Our survival depends on it." The playback showed the scientists and engineers working tirelessly in the underground laboratories. The air was filled with the hum of machinery and the quiet murmur of intense discussions. They tested prototype after prototype, each failure bringing them closer to a solution. "We're close," one of the scientists said, adjusting a device. Just a few more adjustments, and we might have something that works. Bolton the 45th visited the lab, his presence a source of encouragement for the weary scientists. Your efforts are vital to our survival, he told them. We must remain focused and determined. Our people are counting on us. Despite their progress, the situation above ground continued to deteriorate. The playback showed the ashy sand-like pollution spreading across the planet, consuming everything in its path. The once vibrant landscapes were now bleak and lifeless, the air filled with a choking haze. In one particularly haunting scene, Gustav watched as a group of Slarkovs ventured above ground to gather supplies. They moved cautiously through the desolate streets, their faces covered with protective masks. The pollution swirled around them, a malevolent presence that seemed to seep into everything. We need to move quickly, one of them said, his voice muffled by the mask. The pollution is getting worse. As they gathered supplies, a sudden gust of wind sent a cloud of the ashy substance swirling toward them. They scrambled to find cover, their movements frantic and desperate. Gustav's heart raced as he watched, hoping they would make it to safety. We can't stay out here much longer, one of them said, his voice filled with urgency. We need to get back to the shelter. The scene shifted to show the Slarkovs returning to the underground shelters, their faces reflecting their exhaustion and fear. Gustav felt a deep sense of empathy for them. They've endured so much, he thought. Their resilience is truly remarkable. Back in the command center, Bolton the 45th addressed his advisors. We need to accelerate our efforts, he said. The pollution is spreading faster than we anticipated. We must find a solution before it's too late. The scientists and engineers redoubled their efforts, working around the clock to develop a device that could disperse the pollution. The air in the lab was thick with tension, the weight of their task pressing heavily on their shoulders. We're almost there, one of the lead scientists said, adjusting the settings on a prototype device. Just a few more tweaks, and we should be ready for a test run. Bolton the 45th nodded, his expression filled with determination. Make it happen, he said. Our people's lives depend on it. The playback showed the scientists conducting a series of tests, each one bringing them closer to success. Finally, after countless hours of work, they had a breakthrough. The device, a sleek and powerful creation, emitted a golden light that seemed to push back the pollution. We've done it, the lead scientist said, his voice filled with relief. The device works. We can start dispersing the pollution. Bolton the 45th addressed his people once more, his voice filled with hope. We have developed a device that can disperse the pollution, he said. We will begin deploying it immediately. Stay strong, my fellow Slarkovs. We will get through this together. The playback showed the deployment of the devices across the planet. The golden light emitted from each device began to push back the ashy sand-like pollution, slowly but surely restoring the air to its natural state. The skies, once darkened by the malevolent force, began to clear. Gustav felt a surge of hope as he watched the scenes of recovery. They've done it, he thought. They've found a way to overcome the pollution. The Slarkovs emerged from their underground shelters, their faces filled with relief and joy. The playback showed scenes of celebration as the pollution was dispersed, and the planet began to heal. Families reunited, children played in the streets, and the once desolate landscapes were now vibrant with life. Bolton the 45th addressed his people, his voice filled with pride and gratitude. We have faced a great challenge and emerged stronger, he said. Let us remember this time and use it as a reminder of our resilience and our capacity for greatness. The crowd erupted in applause, their voices filled the holographic playback showed the relentless assault of the ashy sand-like pollution against the barriers. The Slarkovs watched in despair as their protective shield began to weaken and crack, the malevolent force pressing ever closer to their planet. Despite their best efforts, it seemed that all hope was lost. Bolton the 45th stood in the command center, his face etched with worry. We've done everything we can, he said to his advisors. The barriers won't hold much longer. We need a miracle. Just as the situation seemed dire, a bright light appeared in the sky, cutting through the darkness. The playback showed a figure descending from the heavens, his form glowing with an otherworldly radiance. As he landed on the surface of Humbad, the light around him dimmed to reveal a deity who had taken on a human form. The Slarkovs watched in awe as the deity walked among them, his presence exuding a calm and reassuring power. He raised his hand, and the ashy sand-like pollution that had been attacking the barrier began to gather into a swirling mass above his head. "Who are you?" Bolton the 45th asked, his voice filled with a mixture of hope and disbelief. The deity looked at him with kind, ancient eyes. "I am a guardian of balance, sent to rectify the harm caused by the battles of my kin," he said. "I apologize for the destruction and chaos that has befallen your world." Gustav watched in amazement as the deity continued to gather the pollution, forming it into a compact, pulsating ball of dark energy. The malevolent force that had been swallowing up orbital bodies was now contained, its threat neutralized. The deity then raised his other hand, and the skies began to clear. The remains of the fallen deity and the pollution that had darkened their world dissipated, revealing the sun once more. Light flooded the planet, and the Slarkovs cheered, their voices filled with relief and joy. "Thank you," Bolton the 45th said, bowing deeply. "You have saved us. But please, can you ensure that such battles do not threaten our existence again? Our planet has nearly perished." SSS the deity nodded solemnly. "I will do everything in my power to prevent such chaos from befalling your world again," he said. "The deities must learn the consequences of their actions. Balance must be maintained." Bolton the 45th looked at the deity with gratitude and desperation. "Please, we beg you. Ensure that Humbad remains safe. We cannot endure such destruction again." The deity placed a reassuring hand on Bolton's shoulder. "You have my word," he said. "I will see to it that your planet is protected." With that, the deity vanished, taking the ball of ashy sand-like matter with him. The playback showed the deity reappearing on Earth, a barren and lifeless planet at that time. He buried the ball deep within the Earth, ensuring that it would no longer pose a threat. Gustav felt a profound sense of relief and hope as he watched the scenes unfold. "They've been saved," he thought. "The deity's intervention has given them a chance to rebuild and thrive once more." Back on Humbad, the Slarkovs emerged from their shelters, their faces filled with awe and gratitude. The golden light of Dimension 6 illuminated their world, casting a warm glow over the once darkened landscape. The air was clear, and the sky was a brilliant blue. Bolton the 45th addressed his people, his voice filled with emotion. "We have been given a second chance," he said. "Thanks to the intervention of the guardian deity, our world is safe. Let us honor this gift by continuing to build a society based on fairness, unity, and responsibility." The crowd erupted in applause, their voices filled with enthusiasm and hope. Gustav felt a deep sense of admiration for Bolton the 45th and the Slarkovs. Their resilience and determination have brought them through the darkest times, he thought. They have truly earned this second chance. The playback showed the Slarkovs returning to their daily lives, their spirits lifted by the promise of a brighter future. They worked together to rebuild their cities, using their advanced technology and the golden energy of Dimension 6 to create a world that reflected their values and aspirations. In one scene, Gustav watched as a group of young Slarkovs planted new trees in a park, their faces filled with hope and determination. "We will make our world beautiful again," one of them said, her hands gently patting the soil around a sapling. "We will honor the gift we have been given." Bolton the 45th visited the park, his presence a source of encouragement for the young workers. "Your efforts are vital to our future," he told them. "You are the next generation, and your resilience gives us all hope." Chapter 1557 Guidance. Chapter 1557 Guidance. Author's note. Unedited chapter. The Slarkovs continued to live in peace and prosperity for many centuries. Their society flourished under the guidance of Bolton's descendants, each chief upholding the values of unity, fairness, and responsibility. The golden energy of Dimension 6 powered their technological advancements, and the planet Humbad thrived. Gustav watched with admiration as the holographic playback depicted the serene and vibrant life on Humbad. The cities were bustling with activity, the streets filled with laughter and the hum of advanced vehicles. Parks and green spaces dotted the landscape, and the Slarkovs lived in harmony with their environment. This is how it should be, Gustav thought, his heart swelling with pride. They have built a world where everyone can thrive. Ale West CHPTOS on NOVLIN, CM. However, just when the Slarkovs thought their troubles were behind them, another battle between deities erupted in the cosmos. The playback showed the skies darkening once more, as colossal figures clashed with unimaginable force. The shockwaves from their conflict rippled through space, threatening to engulf Humbad in chaos once again. Fromboltin the 47th, the current chief, stood in the command center, his face filled with grim determination. "We cannot allow this to happen again," he said to his advisors. "Our people have suffered enough from the battles of the deities. We must find a way to protect our world." As the situation grew more dire, the same deity who had taken on a human form and saved Humbad previously descended from the heavens. The deity's presence was as awe-inspiring as before, his form glowing with a divine radiance. He raised his hands, and the conflict in the skies ceased, the deities retreating from their battle. The deity then descended to the surface of Humbad, his expression filled with regret and sorrow. "I have come to apologize once more," he said, his voice resonating with a mix of power and humility. "I have stopped the battle, but I know the damage has been done." Fromboltin the 47th stepped forward, his eyes blazing with anger. "You made a promise to my predecessor," he said, his voice steady but filled with fury. "You said you would ensure that our world would be protected from the battles of the deities. Yet here we are, facing the same threat once again." The deity bowed his head, his expression one of genuine remorse. "I am deeply sorry," he said. "I have tried to prevent these conflicts, but the nature of the deities is beyond my control." Fromboltin the 47th was not placated. "Your apologies mean nothing if they do not translate into action," he said, his voice rising. "Our people should not have to suffer for the clashes of gods. We are mortals, and we deserve to live in peace." The deity looked at Fromboltin the 47th with a mixture of sorrow and respect. "I understand your anger," he said. "Tell me, what do you want? How can I make amends for the pain my kind has caused?" Fromboltin the 47th took a deep breath, his resolve unwavering. "I want my people far away from the battles of deities," he said. "We should not have to live in fear of divine conflicts. Move us to a place where we can be safe, where we can live our lives without the threat of annihilation hanging over us." The deity considered his words, his expression thoughtful. "It is within my power to grant your request," he said. "I can relocate your entire planet to a distant part of the cosmos, far from the realm of the deities. There, you will be safe from our conflicts." Fromboltin the 47th nodded, his eyes filled with hope and determination. "Do it," he said. "Give my people the peace and security they deserve." The deity raised his hands, and the air around them began to shimmer with a golden light. The ground trembled as the energy of Dimension 6 intertwined with the deity's divine power. Gustav watched in awe as the entire planet was enveloped in a radiant glow, the energy lifting Humbad from its place in the solar system and carrying it across the cosmos. The playback showed the journey of Humbad through the stars, the planet surrounded by a protective barrier of golden light. The Slarkovs watched in wonder and fear as their world traveled to a distant, uncharted region of space. The journey was swift, the energy of Dimension 6 guiding them to their new home. When the light finally faded, Humbad was settled in a tranquil corner of the universe, far from the reach of the deity's battles. The skies were clear, and the sun shone brightly on the planet's surface. The Slarkovs emerged from their shelters, their faces filled with relief and awe. Fromboltin the 47th stood on a high platform, addressing his people. "We have been given a new beginning," he said, his voice carrying the weight of their journey. "Thanks to the intervention of the guardian deity, we are now safe from the battles of the gods. Let us use this opportunity to build a future filled with peace and prosperity." The crowd erupted in cheers, their voices filled with hope and gratitude. Gustav felt a deep sense of admiration for Fromboltin the 47th and the resilience of the Slarkovs. They have faced unimaginable challenges, he thought, but they have always found a way to rise above them. The playback continued to show the Slarkovs adapting to their new home. They rebuilt their cities, using the advanced technology powered by Dimension 6 to create a society that reflected their values and aspirations. The golden energy of Dimension 6 continued to be a source of innovation and progress, helping them to thrive in their new environment. In one scene, Gustav watched as a group of young Slarkovs planted a garden in a park, their faces filled with hope and determination. "We will make our world beautiful again," one of them said, her hands gently patting the soil around a sapling. "We will honor the gift we have been given." Fromboltin the 47th visited the garden, his presence a source of encouragement for the young workers. "Your efforts are vital to our future," he told them. "You are the next generation, and your resilience gives us all hope." Gustav felt a deep connection to the Slarkovs and their journey. Their story is one of redemption and growth, he thought. They have faced unimaginable challenges, but they have found a way to rise above them. As the playback came to an end, Gustav stood in the silent chamber, the weight of what he had witnessed pressing heavily on his heart. The truth about Dimension 6 and the Slarkov struggle had been laid bare before him, and he felt a profound sense of responsibility. "I understand now," he thought. "The Slarkov story is a warning and a guide. Their struggles and sacrifices must not be forgotten. I must use what I've learned here to protect our universe and prevent the same fate from befalling us." He looked around the chamber, taking in the intricate machinery and the flickering holograms. The knowledge and technology of the Slarkovs were within his reach, preserved in Dimension 6. It was a treasure trove of information, a lifeline that could help him combat the dark plane and protect his world. "I will honor your memory," Gustav vowed silently. "I will use what you've left behind to ensure that your sacrifices were not in vain." With renewed determination, he approached the central console, ready to delve deeper into the wealth of information contained within the archive. Each discovery brought him closer to understanding the nature of the dark plane and the means to combat it. The journey was far from over, but Gustav knew that he was on the right path. As he worked, he felt the presence of Miss Amy guiding him, her strength and wisdom echoing in his mind. "You believed in me," he thought, "and I will not let you down." Hours turned into days as Gustav continued his search, the vast archive revealing its secrets to him. He learned about the advanced technology of the Slarkovs, their struggles and triumphs, and the forces that had ultimately led to their downfall. Each piece of knowledge was a step closer to finding a solution, a way to protect their universe from the same fate. "The Slarkovs' legacy will not be forgotten," he vowed. "I will use what I have learned here to ensure a brighter future for all." The journey ahead was filled with challenges, but Gustav felt ready to face them. The knowledge and technology of Humbad provided him with the tools he needed to combat the dark plane and prevent the final premonition from coming to pass. With renewed resolve, he continued his work, guided by the strength and wisdom of those who had come before him. As the stars shone brightly above, a reminder of the vastness of the universe and the endless possibilities that lay ahead, Gustav pressed on. The future of the universe hung in the balance, but he was prepared to do whatever it took to ensure its survival. The holographic playback continued, showing the aftermath of the latest battle between deities that had once again threatened Humbad. The deity who had previously saved the Slarkovs descended to the planet, his form glowing with an ethereal light. As he landed on the surface, he was met by Fromboltin the 47th, whose expression was one of anger and frustration. "You made a promise to my predecessor," Fromboltin the 47th began, his voice steady but filled with fury. "You said you would ensure that our world would be protected from the battles of the deities. Yet here we are, facing the same threat once again." The deity bowed his head, his expression one of genuine remorse. "I am deeply sorry," he said. "I have tried to prevent these conflicts, but the nature of the deities is beyond my control." Fromboltin the 47th's eyes blazed with anger. "Your apologies mean nothing if they do not translate into action," he said, his voice rising. Our people should not have to suffer for the clashes of gods. We are mortals, and we deserve to live in peace. The deity looked at Framboltin the 47th with a mixture of sorrow and respect. I understand your anger, he said. Tell me, what do you want? How can I make amends for the pain my kind has caused? Framboltin the 47th took a deep breath, his resolve unwavering. I want my people far away from the battles of deities, he said. We should not have to live in fear of divine conflicts. Move us to a place where we can be safe, where we can live our lives without the threat of annihilation hanging over us. The deity considered his words, his expression thoughtful. It is within my power to grant your request, he said. But altering reality to move your planet as far away as possible will likely have some unintended consequences. Framboltin the 47th didn't hesitate. I don't care, he said firmly. Do whatever it takes to ensure our safety. The deity nodded. Very well. The power to alter reality lies within Dimension 6. You must use it to achieve your goal. Framboltin the 47th looked at the deity with determination. Tell me what I need to do. The deity raised his hand, and a path of golden light appeared, leading to the heart of Dimension 6. Follow this path and ask Dimension 6 to move your planet. The energy within will respond to your request. Chapter 1558 The Altercations. Chapter 1558 The Altercations. Author's note. Unedited chapter. Framboltin the 47th nodded and began to follow the glowing path. Gustav watched in awe as the holographic playback showed the chief making his way to the center of Dimension 6, the energy around him pulsing with power. When Framboltin the 47th reached the heart of Dimension 6, he stood before the core, its golden light bathing him in a radiant glow. Dimension 6, he said, his voice filled with authority and resolve, I ask you to move our planet as far away as possible from the battles of the deities. Grant us the peace and safety we deserve. The core of Dimension 6 pulsed with energy, and the ground beneath Framboltin the 47th trembled. The golden light intensified, enveloping him and spreading out to encompass the entire planet. The holographic playback showed the landscape of Humbad bathed in a brilliant light, the energy of Dimension 6 working to fulfill the chief's request. Gustav felt a sense of awe and anticipation as he watched the scene unfold. This is it, he thought. This is the moment that will change everything. The energy of Dimension 6 began to alter reality itself, expanding the universe and moving planet Humbad to a new location. The stars shifted, and the cosmos reconfigured to accommodate the change. The planet was lifted from its place in the solar system and carried across the universe, the journey swift and seamless. When the light finally faded, Humbad was settled in the center of the universe, far from the reach of the deities' battles. The skies were clear, and the sun shone brightly on the planet's surface. The Slarkovs emerged from their shelters, their faces filled with relief and awe. Framboltin the 47th addressed his people, his voice carrying the weight of their journey. We have been given a new beginning, he said. Thanks to the power of Dimension 6, we are now safe from the battles of the gods. Let us use this opportunity to build a future filled with peace and prosperity. The crowd erupted in cheers, their voices filled with enthusiasm and hope. Gustav felt a deep sense of admiration for Framboltin the 47th and the resilience of the Slarkovs. They have faced unimaginable challenges, he thought, but they have always found a way to rise above them. The playback continued to show the Slarkovs adapting to their new home. They rebuilt their cities, using the advanced technology powered by Dimension 6 to create a society that reflected their values and aspirations. The golden energy of Dimension 6 continued to be a source of innovation and progress, helping them to thrive in their new environment. In one scene, Gustav watched as a group of young Slarkovs planted a garden in a park, their faces filled with hope and determination. We will make our world beautiful again, one of them said, her hands gently patting the soil around a sapling. We will honor the gift we have been given. Framboltin the 47th visited the garden, his presence a source of encouragement for the young workers. Your efforts are vital to our future, he told them. You are the next generation, and your resilience gives us all hope." Gustav felt a deep connection to the Slarkovs and their journey. Their story is one of redemption and growth, he thought. They have faced unimaginable challenges, but they have found a way to rise above them. As the playback came to an end, Gustav stood in the silent chamber, the weight of what he had witnessed pressing heavily on his heart. The truth about Dimension 6 and the Slarkov struggle had been laid bare before him, and he felt a profound sense of responsibility. "I understand now," he thought. "The Slarkov story is a warning and a guide. Their struggles and sacrifices must not be forgotten. I must use what I've learned here to protect our universe and prevent the same fate from befalling us." He looked around the chamber, taking in the intricate machinery and the flickering holograms. The knowledge and technology of the Slarkovs were within his reach, preserved in Dimension 6. It was a treasure trove of information, a lifeline that could help him combat the dark plane and protect his world. "I will honor your memory," Gustav vowed silently. "I will use what you've left behind to ensure that your sacrifices were not in vain." With renewed determination, he approached the central console, ready to delve deeper into the wealth of information contained within the archive. Each discovery brought him closer to understanding the nature of the dark plane and the means to combat it. The journey was far from over, but Gustav knew that he was on the right path. As he worked, he felt the presence of Miss Amy guiding him, her strength and wisdom echoing in his mind. "You believed in me," he thought, "and I will not let you down." Hours turned into days as Gustav continued his search, the vast archive revealing its secrets to him. He learned about the advanced technology of the Slarkovs, their struggles and triumphs, and the forces that had ultimately led to their downfall. Each piece of knowledge was a step closer to finding a solution, a way to protect their universe from the same fate. "The Slarkovs' legacy will not be forgotten," he vowed. "I will use what I have learned here to ensure a brighter future for all." The journey ahead was filled with challenges, but Gustav felt ready to face them. The knowledge and technology of Humbad provided him with the tools he needed to combat the dark plane and prevent the final premonition from coming to pass. With renewed resolve, he continued his work, guided by the strength and wisdom of those who had come before him. As the stars shone brightly above, a reminder of the vastness of the universe and the endless possibilities that lay ahead, Gustav pressed on. The future of the universe hung in the balance, but he was prepared to do whatever it took to ensure its survival. As Gustav stood in the silent chamber, the holographic playback continued to unfold the consequences of Frombolten the 47th's monumental request. The act of moving planet Humbad to a distant part of the universe had profound and far-reaching effects. The universe itself had been altered, leading to the birth of new species and planets across the galaxies. Gustav watched in awe as the holographic images displayed the creation of new worlds. Stars burst into existence, their radiant light illuminating the dark expanse of space. Planets formed from swirling cosmic dust, their surfaces teeming with potential. In the distant reaches of the universe, new species began to emerge, each one unique and full of promise. One of these new planets was Earth. The playback showed its formation, the molten surface cooling and solidifying over millennia. Life began to stir in the primordial oceans, simple organisms evolving into more complex forms. Eventually, humans emerged, their journey of development beginning in earnest. Gustav felt a deep sense of wonder as he watched the scenes unfold. The birth of new worlds and species, he thought. The universe is filled with endless possibilities. The playback shifted to show the early days of human civilization on Earth. Primitive humans roamed the land, learning to harness fire, craft tools, and build shelters. As centuries passed, they formed tribes, built villages, and began to develop agriculture. Civilization slowly took root, and the seeds of humanity's future were sown. Despite the rapid development on Earth, humans remained blissfully unaware of the existence of other species or the distant Slarkovs. The great distance created by the expansion of the universe had isolated them, allowing them to evolve independently. In one scene, Gustav watched as a group of early humans gathered around a fire, their faces illuminated by the flickering flames. They spoke in hushed tones, sharing stories and passing down knowledge to the next generation. Do you ever wonder if we're alone in the universe? One of them asked, his voice filled with curiosity. Another human, an elder with wise eyes, shook his head. The stars are vast and mysterious, he said. But our world is all we know. We must focus on our lives here, on this land that provides for us. The younger human nodded, though the question lingered in his mind. Perhaps one day, we will know more, he thought. But for now, we have our own journey to follow. Gustav felt a sense of connection to these early humans, their curiosity mirroring his own. They are just beginning their journey, he thought, unaware of the greater universe beyond their world. The playback continued to show the progress of human civilization. Cities rose and fell, empires were built and lost, and humanity continued to evolve. The arts, sciences, and philosophies flourished, each generation building upon the achievements of the last. Yet through it all, humans remained isolated from the wider cosmos. They looked to the stars with wonder and curiosity, but the knowledge of other species and distant worlds remained beyond their grasp. In one scene, Gustav watched as a group of astronomers in ancient Babylon studied the night sky, their eyes filled with wonder. "The stars are like gods," one of them said, his voice filled with reverence. "They hold the secrets of the universe, secrets we may never understand." Another astronomer, a woman with a keen mind, nodded thoughtfully. "Perhaps one day, we will unlock those secrets," she said. "But for now, we must be content with what we can see and measure." Gustav felt a sense of admiration for these early scientists. Their quest for knowledge, he thought, is a testament to the human spirit. As time passed, humanity's understanding of the universe grew. The playback showed the development of telescopes, the discovery of new planets, and the advancement of scientific knowledge. Yet even as they reached further into space, the existence of the Slarkovs and other species remained hidden. In a modern observatory, a group of scientists peered through powerful telescopes, their eyes fixed on distant galaxies. "The universe is so vast," one of them said, awe in his voice. "There must be other life out there." Another scientist, a woman with a determined expression, nodded. "We just haven't found it yet," she said. "But we will keep searching. The answers are out there, waiting for us to discover." Gustav felt a deep connection to these modern scientists. Their quest mirrors my own, he thought. Seeking knowledge and understanding, driven by the same curiosity that has guided humanity for millennia. The playback shifted to show the Slarkovs in their new home at the center of the universe. They continued to thrive, their society flourishing under the guidance of Frombolten's descendants. The golden energy of Dimension 6 powered their technological advancements, and the planet Humbad remained a beacon of progress and unity. Frombolten the 47th addressed his people once more, his voice filled with pride and determination. "We have been given a new beginning," he said. "Thanks to the power of Dimension 6, we are now safe from the battles of the gods. Let us use this opportunity to build a future filled with peace and prosperity." The crowd erupted in cheers, their voices filled with enthusiasm and hope. Gustav felt a deep sense of admiration for Frombolten the 47th and the resilience of the Slarkovs. They have faced unimaginable challenges, he thought, but they have always found a way to rise above them. Frombolten the 47th visited the garden, his presence a source of encouragement for the young workers. "Your efforts are vital to our future," he told them. "You are the next generation, and your resilience gives us all hope." You're tuning in to the Celestial War YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories,